Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving value's contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, Rob, which episode are we on?
467.
By the way, best comment of the day before we get started. Somebody said, can you wait 5 minutes after you use the bathroom?
That was me, Pat.
No. Did you put the comment? Anyways, gang, hope you guys had a great weekend. We've been looking forward to this. I feel like I haven't done a podcast for a couple of weeks. Last week was very busy for us. A lot's happened. We had a Vol conference in Palm Beach Convention Center. We shut down the city, literally. Streets were packed. People couldn't make it to their meetings, their business meetings. There was a few thousand cars, nearly 6,000 people in the room. If you haven't seen the clips yet, The Rock was there. Max Tegmark, Will Guidara crushed it. And we had such great people. We had people over 100 countries showing up to the event. And it was phenomenal. I was... my days go, you guys were there. My days are 14-hour days, and it's every day like that, back to back to back. And the after party at the Flagler Park.
Oh, my God.
How sick was that?
I had no idea it existed. There was a train behind the stage where the cabaret girls were singing, and that train was... Bro, bed, it was like it's a museum.
Can I ask why every time you would go on the train, one of the cabaret girls would follow you? What was that all about?
Pat, listen, I'm trying to populate the planet. You know, our numbers are down.
I mean, at least she was pretty.
She was beautiful.
Credit to you. It was a great time. But
can I just give a quick shout out?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you were on stage. I'm not going to edify Pat because I know he doesn't like that. But so you didn't really get the opportunity to get into the mix and the crowd to see the people. We're man of the people, Vinny and I. You know, Tom can be an elitist at times. You know this whole thing. We know. But Tom was doing his part.
Who I am, man.
It's who I am. You're built that way. But shout out to the valuetainers, the fans of the PBD podcast, our new friends, Menectors. Just shout out to the team that put it on. The events team, the Menect team.
It was...
Got to give them some major credit.
It was absolutely... I walked into the back of the room. Pat's,
BDC,
by the way, can't even see. Pat's like that small all the way in the front. It looked like an army of just... Like people listen and like, because if you think about it, it is a freaking army of the like-minded people loving America, positivity, wanting to grow, loving children, loving God. It was one of the greatest experiences I've had in a long time. I couldn't walk with Adam to the bathroom without being stopped and like 40 people circling around us and recording and talking about God and life and business. And guys,
I did a podcast at the urinal. The guy's like, I got this. I'm gonna catch you right now.
I was in there for 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was great.
It was awesome.
Rob, I'm gonna send you this video. Go ahead, Tom. I'm gonna send you this video if you can play it.
You know, the emotions and all that you're describing was tremendous, but also I was reminding myself that what was sitting there in that room is the engine of our economy. You know, small and mid-sized businessmen and people that have put their ass on the line to build a business, making jobs and doing it, and to see them feeling so good about being around like-minded people. Yes. And that's what they were saying. He says, you know, I've gone to conferences and there's a little bit of DEI in it. You guys don't do that. You're the way I think. You're with my heart, and I'm building the business and I'm making friends in states far from me with people that now I'm going to be texting and emailing with.
Look how packed the house was.
And it was just amazing. And
Tom,
so
look at this.
It's the engine of our economy.
Tom, look at that engine. Oh,
that is crazy.
Two massive American
flags. I have to tell you a story. By the way, those two flags were Greg's idea.
Amazing.
Greg, Jonathan, Jen, Bree, Kelly, Mario, the team, they absolutely crushed it. But it's 8:15. Mario calls me. It's day one. Mario's like, oh my God, Pat. Says it's crazy. Only 1,400 people here. I don't know what we're going to do. What's going on? I said, Mario, this is different than the insurance conference. Just be patient. And then all of a sudden, thousands of people showed up. The place was wall to wall. Standing room in the if you remember.
We're in the
we had to bring chairs into the place. It was pretty wild.
Typically at conferences like this, they have to remove chairs, 500 chairs, 1,000 chairs. Oh, it's when you pack it up. They were like, we're going to need 16 more chairs because we're over capacity. It was incredible. Can I tell you one of my favorite stories real quick?
Go ahead.
And it made me realize as an American how lucky we are because there was people, you said 100 countries?
100 plus countries showed
That's
up.
insane.
Yeah.
So people came up to this one Scottish guy came up to me. He's like, you have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea. We don't have something like this in Europe. In that side of the world, they don't preach capitalism and entrepreneurship. You guys are changing the world.
Irish or
I was
Scottish?
like, listen, William Wallace.
Was he Irish or Scottish?
I'm with you.
That was Irish.
Stop. Let him finish.
But the point is, he was like, whatever I can do to take capitalism to that side of the globe, I'll do.
Let me tell
and
you.
get my Lucky Charms. Like the whole vibe was great.
That's Irish. If he was like, all right, you bastard, then
You know
he's like,
what?
Patrick's great, lad. He's great, then.
You know
Okay.
what? You one up me. I'm
sorry. I'm just-
By the way,
Irish.
guys, I want to watch Braveheart, but I'm going to tell you something here. Here's what I'm going to tell you.
You can't take our company.
It was good.
Here's what I'm going to tell you.
God.
For you, if you were in the room, I'm not going to go more on this. We're going to move on. If you were in the room, you know what happened. It was absolutely crazy. It was insane. There was something very magical and unique going on. It's the biggest growth we've ever had year over year to the event, ever. And we've been doing this for 5 years.
Not to cut you off, can I ask one question,
cool.
BBD? For like, when are tickets for next year? Because I already know people that were like, I already got tickets for
Oh, I
next year.
think CO sold out already. I think.
Are
the
you
main
serious?
Yeah, they were the main. That
they were
goes
red hot.
Oh my God.
But the point with this is next year. And by the way, it's sold out. We don't have a location. We don't have a date.
That's what I'm
People
just saying.
That's the craziest thing.
trust.
People, and every year it's like that, but they're fully ready for
Wow.
it. However, this is the part I want you to be thinking about. People have no clue what's going on behind closed doors and what the budget for this event was. You know how much money we spent on this event?
Something that starts with a Ocho.
Ocho.
$8
$8.4
million
for this event.
Yep.
Ocho Cinco.
And
What?
You look at the sponsorships, you look at all the stuff that we had. It was wild, but wait till you see what happens next.
Oh, man.
It's going to take about, people are really starting to kind of see what's going on because most event businesses are getting smaller. It's very hard business.
Oh, yeah.
Growing your events business at 100% every year is not easy. But people, we're just getting warmed up. Be patient. You'll see what's coming next. Anyways, let me get into some of the stories that we got to cover here today. For everybody that was there, we had a blast with you. Awesome. Looking forward to seeing you guys again in the future projects that we have coming up. All right. So while this is going on, this guy named Tyreek Hill is running away from cops. Okay?
Yeah.
And Miami police, stops him. They take him out. And Tyreek says, this is all because of my skin color and all this other stuff. Anyways, we got videos. And everybody's wondering what's going on. Coaches, managers, agents responding to it. We'll talk about that. Haitian migrant eating pets. If you haven't seen this video, little weird, folks. And when we get to it, this is in Ohio. We'll first warn you before you watch the video, but it is what it is. Steph Curry says women's rights to choose is a top issue for supporting Harris. We'll talk about that. Elite universities ranking the lowest for free speech. We'll talk about that. Father of Georgia school shooting suspect charged in court alongside son. Candace Owens suspended from YouTube over Kanye West interview. We'll talk about that. Marlon Wayans opens up about emotional breakdown over late parents during stand-up special. This clip that he has with Shay Shay, Club Shay Shay, and Shannon Sharp, it's unbelievable. You have to watch how he gives credit to his parents. It's a phenomenal clip that will play. California bill, folks, again, all you do is hate on California. Listen, California, if only you kept coming with these dumb policies, we would stop talking about you. But who the hell comes out with a bill like this? California bill requires all new cars to beep when you speed. What? All new cars to beep when you speed? Yes. Apparently they thought that's a good idea. Erdogan seeks Islamic alliance against Israel, says its expansionism won't stop in Gaza. Trump is giving a job to Musk. Check this out. He says he'll ask Elon Musk to lead government efficiency commission if he wins election. Can you imagine Elon's first meeting who he invites, who he doesn't invite? He's going to pull off a 1992 dream team. You notice Chevrolet's not invited for it. Nobody's invited.
Yeah, let that sink in.
Yeah, exactly. State senator forced chief of staff to perform sex. Does it really say acrobatics?
Yeah.
That left him with no way. This is him. Wait a minute. She asked him to perform sexual acts and left him with back and hip injuries, Tom.
Yeah.
Listen, you can.
This is a lawsuit. By the way, this kind of a story, some guys may reach out to that senator and say, listen, I'm pretty acrobatic.
You
but
can do it. Put your back into it.
Are you looking for interns? I'll do it for free.
Yeah. Nation with lowest birth rate is rocked by soaring sales of, ready? Dog strollers.
Yep.
All right, we have to talk about that because it's Wall Street Journal.
Just don't leave them
Mark
alone.
Cuban. Mark Cuban's just on fire lately with the amount of admiration he has for Trump. Criticizes Harris's unrealized gains tax. Interesting. Trump criticizes debate conditions in Pennsylvania. Pfizer accused of testing drugs at Chinese army hospital by lawmakers. Conservative influencers linked to Russian This happens when I was at the vault, by the way. I had no clue what was going on. I was like, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see it? Maybe we'll talk about that. Conservative influencers linked to Russian disinformation scheme. And Rob, I think you got a couple clips on that. And then scientist calls for Americans to cut off air conditioning in summer, claiming it causes global warming. Folks, turn off the AC. This is science. We got to trust the science. If he says it, we got to trust him because it's calling global warming, the warming of the globe. We have to pay attention to it. And then Time Magazine decides to create an AI list of influencers, and they have Scarlett Johansson in there. But you know who they don't have in there? Who do you think is not in there? This guy named Milan, who is not in there, which is kind of weird to not put him in there. Anyways, all right, so here's what I want to do. Yesterday, I'm sitting there with Tico, my oldest son. We had one of our best conversations together. It was just phenomenal. And we're talking long-term planning. I won't bore you to death with the long-term planning part. But we sat there and we said, hey, what's your long-term plan? And then at the end, I accidentally found my daily affirmation list from 2002, okay, that I used to read every day, 2-3 times a day. I don't want to show it yet, Rob. Put it down for showing it. But before I show it to you guys and I read it to you, I actually want to read it to you. I want to start off today's podcast with some motivation to show you 22 years ago, when I had nothing, I'm in debt $49,000. How much words had a positive impact in this regular guy's life? I'll read it to you. But before I read it to you, a lot of you ask us this question, and we finally have the announcement to make to you here today. They ask the question, they'll say, Pat, how do you guys do your research for PBD Podcast? What do you guys get it? How do you guys put it together? After all the questions and the prep that we had, we eventually decided to hire 15 machine learning engineers to design a news site leveraging AI to give you intel. Nothing like this exists out there. Some of you guys are going to say, yeah, but did this other company ground this and that other company this? Nothing like this exists because they're limited on the questions you can ask on AI. You can ask any questions of this on AI, and the ability, this AI that we have on the engine for, VTNews.AI, nobody else has on the marketplace today. Let me kind of show you what this is going to be doing. So, Rob, if you can do me a favor, so this is VTNews.AI. You log in, you can go to, Rob, are you logged in already or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, then I can't show it to you now. All the stuff that I was going to show you have to be logged in. That's going to take us 5-10 minutes to do so. But we'll talk about this later on tonight. Rob, Tom, have you sent them, can you go log in just to show it to them?
Yes, sir.
There, Tom. By the way, shout out to...
So, by the way, you go to VTnews.ai. On the homepage, Tom, can you hide this story so the website is not showing, Rob? Yeah. Because can you tell the people in the back to not do that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you want to log in real quick so I can show you what this does. It's pretty wild what it does with the AI component of it and the lopside part of it.
So, Pat, when you say 50 AI learning engines,
15 machine learning engineers help put this together.
Okay.
Like we hired these guys.
Got you.
The last 7-8 months to put this together. And here's what it does. Rob, are you in? Okay, fantastic. Go to homepage, please. And if we can show it from the back. So if you look at any story that's on there, for example, you can find out what source the news is coming from. If you click on that story right there, go to any story that we have. Jalen Ramsey calls for police officers firing, right? Okay, on this story with Tyreek Hill, you can go to the right side of that story, right there where it says left sources. Click on left sources, Rob, where it's right there. On the bottom up, right there. Click on that. It tells you who from a left-leaning news source reported on that. Wow. If you click on right sources, you can find out who from the right-leaning source reported on that. If you want to go to center sources, it tells you exactly who to kind of see their angle. And then zoom out a little bit, Rob. Zoom out a little bit, Rob. So if you go right there, go down right there. If you say, I just want to read the stories for center, click on the center.
Wow.
Just click on the center and just read those. And then click on the link, and you can go to that story. And read exactly what folks from the center are doing. Again, you're going to see us using this on a podcast all the time, but there's a couple things that's freemium, a couple things you got to pay for if you want to go back to VTnews.ai and go all the way to the top, Rob. So now, go back to that story you were on, the Jalen Ramsey story, okay? The AI to the right will generate any questions you want to ask, and you can ask any other question. Just click on, can you zoom in on the top question? It's got right there. How has this incident been received, and what concerns has it raised? Click on that one. And then press the right button. Yeah. Let's see what it tells us right there when we read it. So, I apologize. I don't have information. The article I have access to is on my to provide an answer by the Chinese balloons. Okay, you can go back, Rob, on a policy. Okay, so go back to the top part and go to lopsided, Rob. If you can go to lopsided, And if you click on this story, this part here on the lopsided side tells you what story is only being reported from one side, the left, the right, the center. Click on the EU court upholds Google. Click on that one right there. And you'll see this here, 67% of the people reporting on this are from the left. Only 33% are from the right. Go back on the lopsided. If you go back to the lopsided and go to another one, see how many sources they have. Go a little lower. Okay, go to the middle one. Huawei launches world's first triple screen phone. 60% left, only 20% right, 20% center. So not a lot of people on the right are reporting on the story. And then the other thing on the timeline, if you go all the way up to the timeline, go to the timeline, all the way at the top, you can follow any story and why one day there was an uptick. So for example, let's go to Israel-Palestine conflict, let's just say, okay? Click on that and go all the way to the top. You can see, if you go on that timeline and move it, you can see, Rob, right there, what day is the busiest day. So if you go to the busiest day where the uptick is the highest, right, go back a little bit more, right there. Boom. What happened on that day?
It tells you?
It tells you everything with the timeline of the story all the way back. So real time, you don't need to be like, well, let me find this out. When was this? When was that? Boom, it'll give all that to you. So VTNews.AI, it's officially out. You guys can sign up for the freemium. Some of you guys can get the higher version where it allows you unlimited amount of questions to ask from the AI. The AI part is a big cost that we have to make an investment into, but we did. But we're excited. So as I'm going through the podcast, you're going to see we're going to be using this website a lot because this will be the site we moving forward use as our aggregator to get the news when we do our PBD podcast. Okay, so let me read the affirmations to you, Rob, if you can go to it. Couple things I want to read to you here. If you grew up, I once read a story, a book that called The Genius in All of Us, and it gave the most interesting statistic. It said kids from low-income parents, from the day they're born till they're 18 years old, they had heard negative comments about them, 600,000 more negative comments than positive comments.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
You can't do it. Stop. This isn't you. You're not that smart. Why do you think you're this? You can never do that. That was just 5 I just gave you. From 0 to 18, 600,000 more negative than positive. Damn. Then working class was 100,000 more negative than positive. And then the upper class parents was 100,000 more positive than negative. Did that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So it's a little bit more like, so even working class was less, but it's still more.
100,000
more, right?
Yeah.
So eventually when you turn 18 years old, you don't hear a lot of, I believe in you, you can do it, all this other stuff. And most of us, it takes years to reshape the mindset of daily affirmations. At first, I thought this was hokey. But at 23 years old, I started doing my daily affirmations. If you can zoom in a little bit. This was one of my first ones that I ever put together. I'm just going to read it to you. You can tell my English spelling is off as well, so we can laugh at me a little bit. But one of the parts I tell you is hilarious. I must do the most productive thing possible at every given moment. Can you work when no one's watching you? Be grateful and thankful for all the beautiful thing that God's given you. Remember where you came from, therefore humble yourself. Greatest revenge of all time is massive success. Trust God to do the best for you and trust yourself to do the best for him and his children. Highest form of maturity is when you become independent of others' opinions. That one is probably one of the most important ones a kid, a young child, a son, a daughter, 12, teenager can tell themselves. Highest form of maturity is becoming independent of others' opinions. Take responsibility for your actions and don't blame others. I will live this day as if it's my last. What sacrifices are you making right now in order to get closer to your dreams and goals? Be careful about, this is one of my favorites, be careful what you joke about or be sarcastic about because your spirit will stop having faith in the words that come out of your mouth. Wow. Rome was not built in one day. I'd rather fail at something I love doing than succeed at something I hate doing. Have you done anything today to grow personally? You have met the enemy at his eye, Alexander the Great. Pain is temporary, quitting is forever, never quit. Get off your ass and get after. Look at the of. Get off your ass and get after. You better do something about you because no one else will. Is your life balanced? Career, family, spiritual, financial, emotional, physical. And by the way, some of these mindsets have changed over the years. How bad do you want to win in life? If that's how bad you want to win in life, then you have to quit worrying about what others think of you and you have to get hungry, wanting to get after. Don't you want to retire I'm asking myself this question now. Buy yourself a house, by the way, this is when I'm $49,000 in debt. I don't have a penny to my name. My expedition just got repoed. Make the Story Builders, which is the first company I started, the company that made the biggest difference in the world, become a great example to others who want to model you, build the best school in the country where the students learn from the best leaders at a young age, drive your nice Ferrari, watch this next one here. Go visit your horse stables, have a bunch of pets at your house, and have a beautiful white tiger. Great great family, great spiritual life, many kids, and be able to live all your dreams,
awesome.
then get up off your ass and get after it. I was 23 when I wrote this.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah, everything's on point. You just don't have the white tiger and you were eating korma sabzi because it's on the page.
No
Which I
wonder
respect.
you wanted to
can
interview Mike Tyson. He had that tiger for you.
Yeah.
Pat,
Sick.
what was going through your mind when you were writing this down?
By the way, I had no idea if this was going to work or not.
I mean,
But I read so many things that everybody said, the power of positive thinking, Norman Vincent Peale. I read so many things, laws of success, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow. Eventually I said, you know what, the hell with this. I'm going to actually write it out. And I wrote it out. I read this 3 times a day. That's laminated, by the way. If you look at it, that's laminated. And this was on my shower wall. Every time I'm showering, you would hear me talking. I'm not talking. I'm reading this.
Wow.
And this went on the road with me everywhere I went. For some of you watching this, go ahead. You look like
I'm intrigued by this because I'll tell you why. My mom made me do an affirmation, my sister and I, every day on the way to elementary school.
good.
So you told a story about how the poor, it's minus 600,000 negative words, right? Negative feelings. The middle class minus 100,000 and then upper class positive amount of 100,000. My family grew up very middle class, lower middle class, but my mom talked about like the power of positive thinking and parenting. If she ever sees this clip, she'd be like, okay, kids, you know what time it is say your affirmation. And my sister would always do it. And I would always be the guy that'd be like, I don't want to do the affirmation. It's so annoying, Mom. And then I realized, then my nephew started doing it when my sister eventually had a kid. And then he started doing it. And then you know what I started doing? I started redoing the affirmation I did when I was like 10 years old. But words have power. And it just goes to show the poor, the middle, the upper class. A lot of what your success is started when you were doing this at 23 years old, 20 something years ago.
Yeah, it works. You believe it. You start believing in yourself. I think that's the part where, reading works, but it's restating the same thing. They say writing is rewriting, right? Writing is rewriting. You're constantly rewriting what you're writing. But I think the re-reminder until you eventually buy into it. God knows how many tens of thousands of times I read this until I believed it. Anyways, that's just something for you guys to be thinking about who want to change the language of what you're telling yourself. But let's get right into it. Okay. So what story do we want to start off with first? Rob, do you have the Marlon Wayans video of what they said with the family? I think I texted it to you. I don't know if you have it or not. If you don't have it, I'm going to send this to you, Rob. I just want you to play this. And we're starting off right off the bat with family. Is this the one, Rob? See if it's the same one that I just texted you. I texted you as well.
Okay.
Play the one that I specifically sent you. You see this actor. You know these guys. You've done a lot of stuff.
I know
with them.
Marlon. I know the entire family from Damon Wayans to Damon Wayans Jr. is a really good friend. And Marlon, PBD, I was going to wait till after, but I've been on the road with the guy. He's brought me under his wing. He let me get stage time all over. He would want me to go up and normally, Pat, when people are like headlining, they don't want the guy before to go up and do anything. Yeah. He would be like, Vinny, go and make them go nuts because it elevates him. He's awesome. A great dude. Besides just talks and teaching me about life and comedy and the game, just at his house and just all around amazing dude, Pat. And I've seen his career. I'm sorry, with comedy, he's a phenomenal dramatic. I think drama acting is his number one. He's ridiculous. He was in the movie with Jordan that we saw. He was at the bar.
He was in Air.
He was in Air at the bar.
He played the.
That's right. He was the agent, the guy that ended up having the. I have a dream. No, he's not the I have a dream. Is he the guy that had the I have a dream speech?
No. Hey, it might have been.
Yeah, he was in the movie Air.
Requiem for a Dream. He's a phenomenal dramatic actor, but his stand-up was okay. Whatever's happening in his life, family, the passing of his family members, he's here now, and it's amazing to see him. I saw him last time in Miami a couple months ago.
So watch this. He's talking here about the importance of a father. Go ahead and play the clip, Rob.
Something that a lot of people on my block didn't have. I had a mother that cared for us, and I had a father. The importance of a father, a man that is there. And when my father died, he said, if you ever want to know me, get to know my father. Whenever you miss me, I'm in that book right there. So sometimes at night when I can't sleep because my daddy gone, I pick that book up, and those words scream to me as my father talking to me. My daddy, Howard Wayans, was a man. So much so that my daddy raised kings. You know, we are successful because we was raised right. We had a mother that loved us and a father that protected us and respected, and we had something to answer to besides them. God, my parents did a great job. How do you get all these successful children? Because my daddy taught me a scripture in the Bible, honor thy mother and father for thy days on this earth will be longer. The scripture is just about being grateful and honoring. I honor my parents now with my walk. As a father, I honor them. I take care of my kids. I'm a man. I am a man. My brothers are men. My father raised good men. I had something that a lot of people
Powerful. Oh, what a man.
Strong.
He is. Marlon's such a freaking great guy, man. That is home. Because when he lost his mom and dad, man, I was, it hurt. It hurt.
Yeah.
That message right there about the father message and the responsibility. You know, you sometimes you don't know, right, when you're in it. I'm a byproduct of a father that, you know, challenged me, pushed me, encouraged me, was there, expected certain values and didn't have any money to offer. That nothing more than just love and want to see the son do better than that. But when you hear a message like that, you realize the power fathers have. Anybody watching this, if you're somebody that's a father, you got kids, you're like, I want to go out there and make money. I want to go out there and do this. I want to go out there. You ought to do that because that's the example you got to set to them. They got to see you being in the grind and getting after it. But at the same time, the amount of positive impact you can have on your kids, you can raise future kings and leaders to make the world a better place, a safer place. And you see it right there. Tom, what's your reaction when you saw what he had to say there?
It's powerful and it's truth. And, you know, I wish more people kind of, you know, understood this who are not supporting, you know, moms and dads. We've got this breakdown of the family going on. And then you see something like that. And you say, wow, that is powerful. That is it. Well, why don't you go upstream and say, well, why in society aren't we doing more to help that?
Yeah.
Why are we doing more to support that? Why are, you know, what's going on? And he's so right. And we get all worked up about it. But then we walk away from it and say, wait. You know, we got to be doing something about it right now, right today.
Well, we've seen, we've done multiple episodes content on the breakdown of the nuclear family and basically what's going on in America and how the single parent households has skyrocketed since the LBJ administration, since the Great Society, right? And I think what the average prior to 1950, I want to say that I think only 5% of kids were born out of wedlock. And it's at this point, I want to say 40% overall national
4%
average.
to 41%.
Okay, there it is. And then I think 70% of Black households, single mothers. I want to say 60% of Hispanic households, 40-something% of white households. It's a deterioration of the nuclear family. Here are the numbers right here. Children born out of wedlock in the United States has increased from 5% to 40% over the last 50 years. 5% in 1950s, 2020, now 40% were born unmarried. So listen, it takes sometimes just a speech like this to resonate with men and women to understand the importance of family. By the way, you know, this family right here, I don't know the father that he was speaking about, but you say all the time, you know, you're not going to know how you did as a father or as a parent until the grandkids show up. You've seen this. Look, I grew up watching the Wayans brothers. And if you don't know, like, you've seen the White Chicks, you've seen the movies.
In Living Color.
In the 1990s, In Living Color was a breakthrough TV show sitcom. It was like SNL with
No
for
holds
Black
barred.
people. But
Yep.
the one famous white guy was who?
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey was ridiculous.
Launched his career.
Keenan Ivory Wayans, Damon Wayans Jr., Sean, Marlon, they went on to Wayans Brothers. The whole fam, I think there's Kim Wayans and now the children,
amazing.
you're friends with
Damon and all
them.
them.
With the junior.
Craig, yep.
So this family is Hollywood royalty, and you can tell that it start with great parenting at the top. So shout out to the Wayans.
By the way, I'll say one thing and then
sir.
we'll move on to the next story. So at the vault, I told The Rock which video I've watched the most of, which was the video of him giving the eulogy to his father, right? And I said, you know, I'm watching you while you're giving it. Tell me, what are you thinking? I don't know if you remember what he said. He said, it's interesting because 3 weeks prior to that, my dad and I had the worst fight, one of our worst fights ever, and we did not speak. He said, when he died, he says, I just wish I was there to have that one additional conversation with my dad. I wish I was there and say, how is it now for you? He says, listen, with God, with faith and everything, I'm good. A lot of times, a lot of things that happen in my life. I mean, this is like His father told him, don't get into wrestling. He got into wrestling. He followed his father's footsteps to be a wrestler and takes it to what level? 600 million followers, whatever he does. But, you know, this is a two-part message, okay? One part is from the sun up, and the other part is from the father down, right? From the sun up, you know, best advice Dudley gave me. He said every father and son go through 3 phases of relationships, right? You first idolize your father, then you demonize him, and eventually you hope to humanize him, right? It's not an easy thing to do for a father and son. But the father down is, man, you dictate the future of the world based on how you raise these boys, the family, your girls, how you shape their mindset, what you feed into them, the confidence you give them. And when I saw this video of Marlon Wayans, I'm like, you know what? I think the world has to see this. That's why I wanted to show that clip here today to you guys.
Can I say one thing about The Rock real quick?
Yeah.
And that was the interview you did with The Rock, in my opinion, and many people's opinion, the best part of the entire interview.
And it was at the end.
He kept it super real about his dad. And it resonated with me because same thing happened with my dad. When my dad passed away, we were not speaking. Very contentious relationship. But what I liked about what The Rock said was, despite all the challenges that they had, the up and down relationship, do you know what he said his most important job is? Being a father. Because when you asked him, hey, do you see yourself have plans for running for the presidency? He said, you know, I'm not there right now because my number one job is being a dad. So it's important. And he's a girl dad, I believe.
Yeah,
so.
2 or 3. Was it 3, Pat? 3 kids?
Yeah, he's got 3 girls. He's got 3 girls, 1 older one, and he's got 2 little ones. But you can tell he loves being a dad. Okay. All right. So next story here. We haven't reacted to this. So, you know, this is a story that happened last week. We're in the middle of the event. Conservative influencers linked to a Russian disinformation scheme. Rob, do you have any video clips on this or no?
Yes, I have 2 clips. I have Sebastian Gorka talking about the woman that's accused in this propaganda scheme. Lauren Chen is her name, about Lauren Chen reaching out to Sebastian Gorka.
And then what's the other one you got?
And then the other is a warning from Dan Bongino.
Okay, we'll play both. Let me just read this clip while you can find the clips. So federal officials have indicted 2 employees of the Kremlin-backed Russia, it's RT, I think it's a Russia TV or Russia News, for allegedly orchestrating a $10 million covert project that misled conservative influencers into creating video aligned with Russian interests. The indictment details how RT employees Konstantin Kalashnikov and Elena Afanasieva, real Russian last name, directed funds to a Tennessee-based media company believed to be Tenet Media, which employed high-profile figures like Tim Pool and Benny Johnson. Influencers were reportedly unaware of the Russian backing and were misinformed about the sources of funding, which was falsely attributed to a fictitious private investor. Attorney General Merrick Garland emphasized that the company's ties to RT and Russian government were never disclosed to the influencers or their audiences. This case is seen as part of a broader Russian campaign to influence the upcoming U.S. presidential election. The media company has not publicly commented on their allegations. Go ahead, Rob. Play this clip.
But I'd be remiss as a former federal agent to not warn people that given these accusations, are other people, I'm not accusing anyone specifically, I want to be clear, are people working with the feds right now to try to ensnare other conservative influencers into this alleged operation? I'm just going to say this. Be very careful who you're emailing, and be very careful who you're talking to, and be very careful that you're not talking to someone working with the feds on the other end of the line.
Poof. That's pretty scary. Like, if you think about it, Pat, that's pretty wild that by the way, the fact that it's going back to Russia, this whole thing from Trump started in 2016 with Russia collusion, and now again, towards the end, we're starting the Russia talking again, and who knows at that point. Like, here's my question though: what was she trying to help promote? To what? Make Russia look positive in a positive light? Is that what they were trying to do?
Yeah. So I mean, if you want to play this clip here for Sebastian, because he's taking a complete different position than the one Dan took, I think.
Okay,
go for it.
And approached me about 18 months ago and said, "I've been asked to hire content providers, commentators with big platforms. Would you join us?" And I thought, well, maybe. What's the deal you're offering? And where's the money coming from?
Follow the money.
Kind of standard question you should ask, Jeff, right? If you're going to work for somebody, you should know who's running the company and where the money's coming from, right?
Typically, you would do that, especially if it's a startup.
Well, yeah. I mean, because you don't be working for bad guys or people who are going to run out of money, correct?
Exactly.
I mean, you're a businessman. You understand this stuff.
Yes, and there's another part of it I really don't understand, too, but go ahead.
We'll get to that in a second. And I kept asking her, so who's behind this? And she wouldn't tell me. And then she gave me 3 names. 2 of them had zero, and I mean zero connection to media. None at all. And I thought, well, that's weird. You want to create a new media company and you have no background in media? And then the name of the chief investor was Edward Grigorian, spelt with 2 N's, which is kind of sloppy tradecraft, Mr. Putin, because with that spelling, I Googled the name. No such person exists with that spelling. Huh. If you're creating a legend, it's better to create a legend with the name of, oh, I don't know, John Smith. Lots of John Smiths. You can engineer all kinds of fabrications, but with a very unusual name. Not a lot of Sebastian Gorkas out there. Don't use my name and try to pretend you're me, because people can call me up and verify, are you creating a media company? No, I'm not. Oh,
right, that's
well,
good.
that's a little...
Yo, PBD, so is Lauren Chen's the girl that was here?
Yeah,
She was
social
here.
media
She was
girl.
here. It was the day we talked about Sound of Freedom, and the clip got 7 million views.
Wow.
That's the day when she was on, yes.
And she said she didn't want to watch it because she was a newborn. She had not
baby.
watched it.
So she was approached, Pat, and then she was basically pitching for them to try to get...
Rob, this is what? This is CNN?
Yes.
Okay,
CNN.
so let's see what CNN's position is on this. DOJ alleges, let me read the top. DOJ alleges Russia funded U.S. media company linked to right-wing social media stars. So they have whose face? They have Rubin, they have Benny, and they have Tim. Okay, keep going lower. The unnamed tennis-based company just are being funded by the Kremlin. Okay, got it. $10 million, got it. CNN has independently confirmed that company one tenant company's platform, independent content creators, okay, got it. The alleged Russia operation taped 2 people. Is that tapped or taped? Tapped 2 people to set up the company. The names of, to add its legitimacy, and 2 founders were aware Russia money backed operations. So the founders knew. Okay, does that mean the talent knew? I don't think the talent knew. The goal of the operation, according to prosecutors, was to fuel pro-Russian narratives in part by pushing content and news articles to Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump and others who Kremlin deemed, okay. Among the commentators, 10 media personalities, we read that, all have released statements saying that they were victims of the alleged Russian scheme and they maintained editorial content over what they created. Each has a loyal fan base with combined roughly 6 million followers. Wednesday indictment. The indictment outlines how one of the social media stars was approached by Tenet Media founder with an offer of $2 million a year to make videos for the company. One of the founders later wrote it would need to be closer to $5 million yearly to be interested, according to the indictment. The social media star expressed some skepticism about who was funding the idea. Eventually, the social media star agreed on a contract of $400,000 monthly fee.
Wow.
4 weekly videos at $100,000 or $100,000 sign. That's $100,000 a video. The only money you make from YouTube, if it gets 1 million views, it's $6,000 to $8,000. And that's if it gets 1 million views, right? And most of them don't. Tenet Media U.S. founder are not named in the indictment, but business records of Tennessee reveal 2 people connected to the company. William Donovan, a Twitter account for Donovan, that's why it's identified as Tenet Media. So those 2 were linked. The account describes Donovan as Chen's husband. Okay, I didn't know that. A private message between the 2, May 2021, reads, so we're billing the Russian from the corporation, right?
What?
Okay, so then they knew. 2 weeks later, another message said, also the Russians paid, so we're good to bill them the next month, I guess. Ugh. Chen is a right-wing media influencer. She appeared on some Tenet Media videos and has more than 500,000 subscribers. The Russia-controlled. As of Thursday afternoon, Turning Point USA has deleted web pages featuring Chen. Whoa. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. A YouTube video referenced the indictment further describes Tenet Media as a project of Lauren Chen and her husband. Blaze Media on Thursday said it fired Chen. Blaze, a subset of Glenn Beck founded conservative outlet, has taken out a page of previously promoted content Chen produced, including her show Pseudo-Intellectual. Lauren Chen was an independent contractor who's this is not good for them. YouTube has removed Tenet channel. Oh, wow. Associated with Chen, a YouTube spokesperson. Following an indictment from U.S. Department of Justice after careful review, Lauren Chen department ongoing. The company's investigation into the matter is ongoing. Neither Chen. Okay, Tom, what do you know about the story? What else do you think or know about the story?
So I've been diving into this.
Oh, wait, Poole said something. Let me just read the last one of Poole. Keep going down. Should these allegations prove true, I well as the other personalities and commentators were deceived and are victims.
Gotcha.
The show is produced in its entirety by our local team with input, Got it. And then Rubin said those allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were the victims of the scheme. I know absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity, period. The DOJ has never contacted me regarding the matter, and I have no intentions to comment further. Is there any other quotes at the bottom? Boom, boom, boom. No, go ahead, Tom.
So there's a couple things here, and I've been diving into this, and I was looking at it, and I was kind of stunned because we've just come from, a decade in financial services, PBD, and we have to sit through compliance, and we have to sit through a thing that's connected to the Patriot Act. And if you bought a house or got a mortgage, you have to fill out forms that are related to KYC. Know your customer, because there's a lot of laundering that happens. Like people will throw money into annuity and then they withdraw the annuity, accept the 15% fee they have to pay, but now the 85% of the money has been laundered effectively. So when someone comes to you, so with that in the back of my head, I'm saying, why weren't people asking two questions, simple two questions? Why are these guys knocking on our door, or this woman, willing to pay 18 times the CPM, the normal ad rate? It's like somebody walks up to your gas station and says, hey, Vinny, gas across the street is $3 a gallon, right? 18 times, so 30. I'll pay you $54 a gallon.
Sold.
You would say yes, but then you would say, why do you want to pay $54 a gallon for gas? Well, do you want to put an ad on my podcast? Like, what are you selling? Are you selling camping gear? Do you want to you want me to do a read for your camping gear? Get Vinny's camping gear. And, is that what you want to do? No, we want you to make some videos for us. That would be red flag number 2. Wait a minute. You don't just want me to read, or you don't have an ad you want to run. You actually want me to make content for you. Well, I'm not really a content studio, sir. I don't make custom programming for companies. I have my podcast. And they said, no, well, it's just a couple videos. Go ahead and do it. And then people do it. Those two flags to me, I think it's tough to say, oh, I didn't know anything about this. And I think some people can say that they didn't know anything about it. But wouldn't it be kind of odd that somebody is paying so much more for an ad and then asking you to make content rather than just running some pre-rolls or do a read for their product? Those are the two flags I see. I believe the influencers that say we didn't know it was connected to Russians. I believe them. But you got to sit there and say, somebody knocking on your door and doing that, isn't that kind of crazy? And then my last point, Bongino's right. If something's too good to be true, you better ask questions about it, because we have witnessed the weaponization of our Justice Department. We have witnessed a season of dirty tricks, and we have witnessed what PBD correctly called last year the year of investigations. So why would you expose yourself to be any of that if you know you're a right-wing voice and you know that there's people who would love to see you stumble?
Yeah, and especially, the majority of them are pro-Trump supporters. You would think, you would really think about it, because right now, Tom, how is this going to affect maybe an election? Because that's election interference. Like, if you think about it, they're spreading misinformation for Russia. I'm actually curious, Rob, was there anything, what videos did Tim Pool put out? Is there anything that specifically connects him, PBD, where he's on his show? Like, if you go to X and put Tim Pool Russia, is there anything that he said that you would say, see, what is that? What's the first one that comes up? Banging Ukraine is the enemy of this country. He didn't know he was working for a company that took 10. So they're saying that videos that he's making in the past pretty much sound like Russia was behind, maybe influencing.
Can you play that clip, Rob?
Can you play, Rob?
But I don't know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
Wow. I mean, and I just randomly told him to do that. But now you know what sucks about the situation? People like me, my opinion with the fund, like the amount of money that we send to Ukraine is ridiculous. But when you hear something like that, now it's like, wait a minute. Did he know? Like, was this money in the bank?
Yeah, I don't want to, I don't know where that comes from. That could have been Tim Pool doing an honest news report, giving his take on it and being that's really the way he felt. But when you put these two things together, it opens Tim up, unfortunately, for a lot of people to say, hey, what's going on here?
Adam,
and again, I'm not levering, an indictment here.
Adam, what's your thoughts?
Well, those sometimes you see in the newspapers or on TV and they say, breaking news. And then at the end, it'll say, this is an ongoing story, details still more to come. I want to see what the details still more to come. What we know the facts are, from what I can establish, is that Lauren Chen, who we've known.
She sat here.
She's been on the show. We saw her last time I saw her, she was at the AmFest that Charlie Kirk does out there in America Fest, Turning Point event that he did in Arizona. She was there. She just had another baby. Her husband, Liam Donovan, his name, I guess, was apparently allegedly the president of this Tenet Media. So he was sort of the liaison with all this. What I found interesting was they said there was a message from May of 2021 in that article. So meaning this has been over 3.5 years that they've been doing this investigation, I would assume. Or at least going back that far. So I don't know anything about what Benny did or what Rubin did or what Tim Pool did. Let them speak for themselves. This is just, 2016 all over again. Russia. Yeah. What's going on here? So yeah, a lot of more questions need to be asked.
But from reading what Pat what just read, she and her husband were messaging on X saying, hey, the Russians with the money. It's like, wait, what? Like, people don't even cover like, you got to cover your tracks if you're going to be that person.
Yeah. So a couple things on some like this. Just a few months. This is for us, and not everybody can do this. And I'm not saying you should do this. I'm just telling you this is what we chose to do. Just a few months ago, we cut out all our sponsorship except for a couple sponsorships that we do, and those are the ones we approached. And we said, we have a relationship. We feel we can promote this. I announced one of them at the Vault, which is a big deal. I'll announce it here soon as well, because we're going to be going to Italy to do certain things with them, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But I noticed that when you take money from sponsorships, you have to be a little bit careful, right? When you're taking money from sponsorships. A few years ago, this happened twice, guys. First time I get an email from this media company in New York, says there's the richest man in China wants to invite you for a fundraiser event.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
2020. I remember
2020.
That. Yes.
You were there when we had
I was there. And then you had to fly, and then you had to make the donation.
So,
I remember.
So he says, this guy right here, that guy right there, Jean,
Zhang,
whatever that is, that person right there, is doing a event in China, and you're invited to it, and they want to give you, I don't know what the number was.
It was like $250,000, and then they're going to gift you another $250,000 that you're going to donate.
So they're going to
something like that. It's like $500,000.
They're going to give me $500,000, okay, of which I keep $500,000, of which the $250,000 I donate to the charity. Yeah. And they say they want to recognize you in front of everybody, and they want you to be over here and da-da-da-da-da, right?
In China.
So then we do a Zoom.
Yeah.
And we do a Zoom to just kind of learn from what this, and the representative, the publicist of the company were both Asian girls. And 2 times this happened. One time it was about this person. This one was $1 million. The other one was $600,000, give or take. And I'm like, yeah, no. Okay. And, but here's the thing. What if the average person that's like $600,000? You kidding me? You're going to give me $300,000, pay for my flight, put me in a hotel, take me to the best restaurants, and all I have to do this?
Let's go. The majority of people, I'm in.
You're tempted. But you have to be very careful with that. Second thing, the market is so interesting today, and everyone's going to mess up at some point, that you have to be also very careful with who you align yourself up with. You can have people that you're on your show, you're having conversations, all this other stuff. But actual business partnership with certain people, you have to be very, very meticulous, careful, detailed, all of that. Now, Tim Pool is a talent. Dave Rubin is a talent. Lauren Chen, very attractive, well-spoken, seems sharp. Maybe they needed the money. I don't know. And then you're putting this in email exchange. So you're incriminating yourself. You are a part of it based on some of the stuff that you've done. But it's a very slippery. This game, by the way, this will be a non-story in about 2 weeks. Everybody will move on. Yeah. Okay, that's how the news cycle works. When you're in it and you're them, you think this is the end of your career, whatever. In 2 weeks, you move on. Now, Lauren, this will forever be tagged.
For sure.
This is staying with you. Okay, that you're going to have to answer and explain yourself, and maybe even take on the position of, yeah, we made a mistake and and move on, and market may forgive you eventually. But the other big guys that are out there, the bigger you get, the more you're going to get targeted by interesting people. You have to be super, super careful who you take money from. They're right when they say, I don't know where the money came from, all this other stuff. But when someone's giving you $100K a week or an episode, you can't look the other way. Yeah. You have to go a little bit deeper to say, hey,
I didn't know.
What's the reasoning behind this? That's the only thing I'm saying. You got to do a little bit more research when you're going through that. But we'll see what happened. Dan had a very, very good point on what he was talking about. All right, while we're on it, Candace Owens suspended from YouTube over Kanye West interview. This is, which story are we reading from here, Rob? That's the Mediaite story. She blames Zionists, says Mediaite. Let's see what they're saying here. All right. So Candace Owens announced she was suspended from YouTube for a week after interview with Kanye West, which YouTube removed for violating hate speech policies by promoting anti-Semitic claims, specifically that Jewish people control the media. Owens blamed the suspension of Zionists, stating their tactics never change. Owens revealed that YouTube also demonetized her account, which has 2.4 million followers, and received 3 back-to-back content hits within minutes. She asserted, we all know who exactly is behind this and why, again, appear to blame the Zionists. Owens has a history of controversial statements, including defending Nick Fuentes, praising criticism of Jews in Biden's administration, claiming that allies caused more damage than the Nazis during World War II. Tom, thoughts on this story?
Well, you got to be so careful these days. And, here she goes. She's got an opinion. She interviews Kanye West. And she is claiming that almost immediately, and we just look at what she said, almost immediately there were hits and complaints that came. I think she called it a farm. And whenever you say farm in the internet, it means like you've got a large group of people that are coordinating at once to complain or to ratio something, it's a big wave. And so she's saying that as soon as I did this, I got this huge wave, and the wave picked on 3 parts of it, and it triggered YouTube review, and I got back-to-back, 1, 2, 3, and then they said, you're demonetized. And so, what's interesting is we have free speech, but there's corners of our free speech that are very, very delicate, and we have to be careful with it. And it doesn't mean we change our viewpoints. It doesn't mean that we, go vanilla and just agree with everything. But, there's 2 things here. One is free speech, and the other is that she's stepping on something, and there's a group of people out there that are getting very upset and apparently wielded some influence. And YouTube then decides, well, wait a minute, YouTube, are you a publisher or are you a platform? And this is the classic thing about the FCC guideline. And YouTube comes back and says, nope, you got 3 strikes immediately and you're demonetized. And so,
Vinny, what are your thoughts?
Me and Rob today tried to even look at the interview for the Kanye one. Couldn't find it. Rob, it's still, it's nowhere to be found, right?
No, there's
By the way, that's a good question. Is it still on Spotify?
That's a very good question. Because Pat, listen, you know how I feel. I adore Candace, but I honestly didn't see 1 second of it. I don't know what's happening. But to rewind, Kanye isn't even allowed to, like the last time Kanye was on YouTube, wasn't he? Take anything that was, I did a spoof on Kanye's interview and I got taken down. Is it on there? I don't think
looking.
it is.
I can't even find her channel. So
but it's like and again, like Tom said, back to back. It's. By the way, even having Kanye on, that's almost. I'm shocked that it didn't happen that first time. But all it takes is for people to go on there and say, "This bothers me. This bothers me. This bothers me." And YouTube is pretty lenient towards the person complaining instead of the content creator.
Rob, did you find the Kanye on Spotify? Because that's very important.
I'm still looking.
Spotify, podcast, Candace. What's the show called? What is it actually called?
Her channel is called Candace.
Okay, so if I go to Candace on Spotify.
The Michael Jackson piece is still up.
No, I'm trying to see. Is it
There's Kanye right there.
Zoom in?
Scroll up. A little more. There you go.
When was this?
October 17th, 2022. She put it out on August 7th of this year. So it was uploaded on August 7th, but it is still live.
So so this is an older one that go back to it on what it says, zoom in a little bit. On October 17th, you sat down with me for an interview at my house. Now that I have my own platform. Oh, so meaning at Daily Wire, they didn't want to do it. And now they do want to do it. And then, so Spotify keeps it on and YouTube takes it down and gives a strike?
That's what I'm saying. So Spotify's cool with, I'm just curious. Yeah. Are their terms and conditions the same as Spotify?
This is the part that I'm not a fan of this, man. Like, listen, have the conversation, let them have the conversation and let them see what it's about, and other people will either agree, tear it apart. Argument leads to more conversation and dialogue. As long as there is no inciting violence as somebody's doing. Why is Spotify comfortable keeping it on and YouTube is not comfortable keeping it on? That's what's weird to me. So this is why Spotify has won in the last 4 years and why they were able to get Joe Rogan to re-up. Mm-hmm. You know, and look how confident Spotify is, where Spotify's like, Joe, not only will we re-up, upload everything you want on YouTube as well. We don't have a problem with that. Wow. And we'll pay you $50 million more than we gave you 2.5, 3 years ago.
And during the transition, they defended Joe Rogan and left some of his content up while other people were taking down certain episodes.
Now, the difference is YouTube is based out of U.S. headquarters, Google, right? So you got Silicon Valley. And Spotify's headquartered out of what? Where's Spotify's headquarters?
I think it's in Sweden.
That's right.
Oh, really?
Daniel Ek has nothing to do with the States.
Oh, okay.
So they're in a different place. Adam, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, I think first and foremost, the most important thing to say by far is that I believe in free speech. And I think that's something that should be established, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, right? The price you pay for free speech is free speech. Now, that doesn't mean that I appreciate or enjoy or agree or disagree with everything that Candace says or that anyone says for that matter. It would be very easy for me at this point as a Jewish content creator to try to dunk on Candace Owens. I told you this, Candace. Truth be told, I actually like Candace. We've had good times together. We've done content together. She's actually an enjoyable person. So what I want to do is separate the person from the personality, or the art from the artist, as they say, or from the person from the problem. In my humble opinion, since her very ugly breakup with Ben Shapiro in the Daily Wire, her entire agenda has been basically going to battle with the quote unquote, the Zionists. And I just think my question to her is, where do you want to go with all this? Because, you know, the whole thing where, you know, the Zionists did it, the Jews control the media. Well, certain Jews control certain media companies. You know, the way that I look at it is money and success is energy. Where do you put your energy? And if you would put your energy into something, you'll end up doing well in something, you know? So, you know, the blacks control the NBA. No, they're just really good at playing basketball and they're doing really well at that. Awesome. You know, Indians control all the 7-Eleven. It's like, no, that they are entrepreneurs who end up finding a niche that they can excel in. You know, why aren't Jews dominating the NFL? Well, that's just not kind of how they're built. They've developed skills, you know, especially Ashkenazi Jews, that has translated well over time into media, banking, creativity, what have you. Go do your research as to why. You can go back thousands of years to the beginning of banking and the Rothschilds family and usury and all that. So I'm not a fan of these racist all or nothing tropes. Well, it's all this. So the biggest thing with Candace is that more than anyone, she should understand how the concept of groupthink. She was the poster child for being a black female to say, yeah, I'm not just going to do lockstep with the Democratic Party. I'm an independent thinker. I'm going to do my own thing. That cuts across all races, ideology, what have you. Not all Jews do this. Not all blacks do this. Not all Indians do this. So she's falling into a very negative trap where she's just playing the blame game. And I want to see how ugly this can get for her. And I hope it doesn't get even uglier.
By the way, here's how life works. In life, you know, you have to choose certain swords you're willing to die on. And great. If that's your sword, guess what? Respect. Go for it. Go all the way to the end. If that's what you're willing to do and it's worth all of it for you. That's one. Two, regardless of it all, if there's no inciting violence, if there's none of that stuff taking place, what's wrong with leaving it on? By the way, just yesterday, just so you guys know, just yesterday, Kanye posted something on his Instagram account. He hasn't for the longest time, but he did yesterday, okay? On his Instagram account. You want to know how many likes it got? It got 1.7 million likes, okay? It got 19.3 million views. So guess what? Who the hell is listening to this 19.3 million views, 1.7 million likes? The guy is still loved as an artist. He's still liked as an artist. People still want to hear him out. Artists have always had some creative stuff that they've said. Even back in the days when Michael Jackson had the one song, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Right? He's Jew, and he talks about right. All the stuff that he says, and then they told him to take those two lines out. Right? You got to take that out. You can't put that in there. Artists, all artists have always been a little bit, creative in their own ways. But again, there is risk with that. Adidas doesn't have to do business with you. They can choose not to do business with you. So if the hill you want to die on is you're okay with losing a few $1 billion that was going to go to your kids, and that's no problem. If for you is these guys behind closed doors make your life a living hell that you want to go after them, no problem. Do your thing. If Candace is no problem, go do your thing. However, there's also one other thing to be thinking about. This is it. This is all I'll say on this part. Is we're at the Vault conference. You remember? Were you in the CO session? Or were you talking to the girl? So we're at the CO session. This one guy comes up. I don't know if you remember or not. This guy comes up and he's got a big YouTube channel. I won't say his name because he knows who he is. And he says, "Here's what I want to do, and da 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 da. And here's what I'm worried about." What are you worried about? Censorship. Being canceled. I remember that. I said, okay, can you do me? So I said, how many strikes do you have? So I said, what if this happens? I said, okay, how many? I think he said he just got a strike or something like that. I said, how many strikes do you think we've gotten with VTNews and PBD podcasts? He says, I don't know, none. I think he said that. Again, I don't remember that context. I said, Mario just had a wonderful session backstage. It was very peaceful and meaningful. So Mario comes up, right? And Mario comes up. I said, Mario, how many strikes have we gotten in the last 10 years? You know, Mario says
15 to 20.
What are his words? You were in the room.
I swear I was there 15 to 20.
By the way, for those watching, we've gotten 15 to 20 strikes. By the way, 2 times our YouTube channel got to 2 strikes. You know what 3 strikes is? You're out. Many times, PBD podcasts, we couldn't do podcasts for a week or 2 weeks because we couldn't go live. You know, if you get 2 strikes, you can't do a live podcast.
Oh, because they don't trust you.
No, that's the YouTube guideline.
Okay.
I think it's 1 strike. It used to be 2 strikes. If you have 2 strikes pending within 90 days, you can't do a live. If you get 3 strikes within a 90-day period, they deplatform you.
Yeah, done. 2 strikes, you're on probation, then you lose your privilege to be live.
So for us, we probably have a lot more strikes than a lot of people think. We just went through it. We went through it so many times that Mario would dispute it and we'd go back and forth and all this other stuff. There is ways to deliver messages where you can express your conviction where you're at and still give the information of what you think is going on and let the audience decide on what they're doing. If you want to have the pride of, I got the platform, I got this, I got that, I'm going to Rumble, I'm going to this place, that's also okay. That is a marketing method. You know, there's guys that have bragging, 6-time canceled on Twitter. 5 times, deplatform off YouTube. I got 3 strikes and out, and I'm on Rumble now. This is why Rumble's the best platform. That's capitalism. If you don't want to get the strikes, go to Rumble, go to these different platforms, and let it rip. And then Rumble is eventually going to have to sit there and say, hey, you're publicly traded. Your stocks got to make some money. You got to get some sponsorship. I'm not making any money on Rumble. I was making more money on YouTube. And then Chris has got to figure that part out. This is how capitalism works, because at the end of the day, nobody's doing all of this stuff for free. You're trying to feed who? Your family. So guess what? Now it's kind of like, dude, now that you're not creating content, now what happens with the money part? So I don't know. I think it's hard to, again, if you say, I don't give, it's my, well, hell, I'm willing to die on, there is no conversation and debate. Mm-hmm. No problem, bro. Go for it. Light it up. Do your thing if that's what you want to do. But at the same time, I think it's absolutely dumb that YouTube took that interview down. let people watch it. Let people see it. Let people see what the conversation was about. What is wrong with art as long as it is not inciting violence? As long as it's not that. I'm not from a place of saying that community shouldn't exist. That people should be this. I am zero tolerance for that. I'm Armenian. I had a guy yesterday on the podcast. His name is Douglas Murray. We had a very good conversation together. And it got awkward multiple times. I think the audience can enjoy it. You know what's one of the questions I asked him? I asked him a question. I said, so, about the Armenian genocide, and 34 countries have recognized it as a genocide that happened. I said, the Holocaust, 100 plus countries have recognized that it happened, including Germans, reparations, all this stuff. Why hasn't Israel recognized the Armenian genocide? There's nothing wrong with asking that question. And then maybe Israel can answer that and say, maybe it's this, maybe it says, maybe it's the partnership with Turkey. I said, Turkey, here's what Turkey just said, by the way. Let's transition into that story. So Turkey comes out and says what? Turkey comes out and says, what page is that on, by the way? Let me see. Do we have the
Erdogan.
Turkey story?
Yeah, what Erdogan, I think it's on page 5. Erdogan.
You sure you don't want to go to that senator part? No, let's go to the Erdogan story. There you go. Erdogan seeks Islamic alliance against Israel, says its expansionism won't stop in Gaza. Okay, so let's go through this here. Turkish President Erdogan urged for an alliance of Islamic countries to counter Israel's expansionism, claiming Israel will not stop in Gaza and could target other nations, saying the turn will come for Lebanon, Syria, and a homeland between the Tigris and Euphrates. He emphasized Hamas resists on behalf of Muslims and is defending Islamic lands. Turkey. Erdogan made these comments following the reported killing of a Turkish-American woman by Israeli troops during a West Bank protest. Foreign Minister Israel Katz responded, calling Erdogan's claims a dangerous lie. An indictment adding Erdogan continues to throw the Turkish people into the fire of hatred and violence for the sake of his Hamas friends. So this is Erdogan for you, right? They're not sitting there saying, hey, Israel, let's have an alliance. They're not sitting there. You think Erdogan is waking up in the morning wanting to find ways to help support Israel more? I don't think so. Adam, what are your thoughts on Erdogan's story here?
Well, I did remember that part of the interview yesterday with Douglas Murray. It did get a little weird. It did get a little awkward. So I'll say a few things. Number one, let's address the whole Israel expansionism and the Islamic world uniting against Israel. Just, and be completely unbiased if you possibly can. Rob, do me one favor. Just pull up map of the Middle East and maybe Google Muslim countries, Middle East, Arab countries, Middle East. Just speaking of expansionism. And just go to images. So, yeah, just any good old map of the Middle East, anywhere. Okay, so that's one. So those are, and there's more. I'm sure you can find more because there's North Africa. You do better, Rob. Come on, give me something better to work with here. Those are just, there we go. Now we're talking about, that's the Muslim world. You want to talk expansionism. They're doing great. The Arab nations in the world, all the brown area, that's Muslim expansionism. Now, if you go all the way in, and if you just scroll all the way in, you can maybe locate where Israel is on this map. So the whole context that Israel expansionism is expanding, look in the mirror, Mr. Erdogan. This revisionist, ridiculous interpretation of history is absolutely absurd from Erdogan, who is a full-on Islamist, hardliner, strongman who many say faked his own coup 5 or so years ago, pre-COVID, to basically double down on his grasp and stranglehold on the country of Turkey. So regarding what happened with the Armenian genocide, let's sort of go down sequencing here. United States, Joe Biden, I believe, was the first president in American history to acknowledge the Armenian genocide. Is that right, Pat?
It is, yes.
Okay, so at least
and we
Biden,
talked about that yesterday.
You did do that. But you know who has not acknowledged the Armenian genocide? Well, the genociders themselves, the Ottoman Empire of Turkey. So that's where this thing should start. Now, you bring up the fact...
What do you mean by that?
That's where, Turkey has not acknowledged the fact that
But I totally understand if Turkey doesn't acknowledge it. Like, if there's anybody that if they don't acknowledge it is Turkey, I get it. Because they would have to revise all their history books of the way they taught their kids about Armenians. They can't do that. You're talking about 110 years of history books that we need to change.
Well, I understand that, but that just because Turkey may have to rewrite their history books doesn't eliminate the fact that it did happen and is in history.
No, for sure.
So they can write whatever nonsense they want to write. I
agree.
Just like how in Russia under Nicholas Tsar.
I'm purely talking about where his ideology lies and what his religion is. For him to do that, his people are like, what are you doing?
Yes. And a lot of his ideology is basically funded on sort of the Muslim Brotherhood ideology, which is Sharia law and taking over large swaths of the Middle East and implementing that. Now, as far as Israel goes, I'm not Israeli. I'm American, Jewish. I would say that it would be amazingly appropriate for Israel to have the conversation of acknowledging the Armenian genocide. If anybody knows a thing or two about genocide, the Jews are kind of leading the league in that. 6 million Jews killed during the Holocaust. I actually looked into this, Pat, because this is something we came up. Apparently, this has been an ongoing conversation in the Knesset in Israel, where, Republicans and Democrats, they're not going to agree on everything. That's like saying, hey, what do Americans think about abortion? Well, depends on what Americans think about Medicare. Medicare for all, private payer, depends on which Americans. Apparently, there's an ongoing debate in Israeli parliament, the Knesset, where people do want to acknowledge the Armenian genocide and they understand the need to do it. And then there's other people who are sort of practicing dealing with the necessary relationship, monetary, economic, military relationship with Turkey. And they're basically saying, what is the benefit of doing this? I agree.
You want me to tell you why I have a hard time with that?
Go ahead.
Okay.
But in my opinion, last point, Israel is probably seeing what Turkey is doing and Erdogan is doing.
Yeah.
And in my humble opinion, they now have an ace up their sleeve. They're saying, hey, listen, all right, Turkey, you want to play that game? What about this?
Yeah.
Armenian genocide.
I think they have to do that very soon.
I agree.
Because if there's any, and by the way, to me, the first country that needed to recognize it was them. I think if there's anybody that understands what they do,
the people that did it,
the community is you understand the pain and the suffering Armenians, Assyrians, and Greeks went through. What do you mean you don't want to recognize? And then it was done by who? Ottoman, Turks. So now the stories behind closed doors, I know the stories. I know how certain people were like, well, we'll help you out. We'll get out the way, whatever. Yeah. All that stuff, the way history's been written. But Christians do a lot for Jews. Mm-hmm. Christians do a lot for Israel. Armenians are like OG Christians. Armenians, Assyrians, go to the Bible and look, study about the
first 10 pages.
Yeah, it's not like so to me, that is again, I'm not trying to steer the pot here. All I'm saying is, bro, 34 countries, you're not one of them. Make the announcement. Make the announcement. I'd like to see them make that announcement by the end of the year and get that knocked out of the way, because this is it's a bit of an insult when you don't do that to one community who's experienced this. In 1915, it's time. Can
I respond real quick?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm fully on board with you. From a moral standpoint, from a conviction standpoint, again, the United States just recognized it like 2 years ago. What took the United States, the moral compass and the number one country in the world that so goes the United States? Who did Douglas Murray says by far the most important country in the world is? The United States.
And then he said
so
UK,
what took us so long? Yeah. What took the United States so long to recognize us, calling a genocide?
No, but by the way, that one I understand. Believe it or not, that one I understand. Do you know why that one I understand?
Because we were not a part of it, maybe?
No, that one I understand because Turkey is the largest military in the Middle East, and you have to find a way to keep a decent relationship with them. And it's kind of like, look, guys, hey, it's like picking. I'm doing business with both of you guys. Yes. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm not neighbors to Armenia. I'm not neighbors to Turkey. Hey. You're a customer. It's kind of pump the brakes like this, right? And a part of it is Russia usually defends who? Who does Russia usually defend?
Turkey, you're saying?
Russia usually defends Armenia. Turkey usually defends who? Azerbaijan. They support the military. So the reason why Armenia still exists, even though they lost Nagorno-Karabakh, the whole feud that we had.
Going on now,
it's because Turkey doesn't want to fully do what they want to do, or Azerbaijan, because they know Putin's on the other side. If Russia and Putin's not on the other side, Armenia is gone, by the way, if that wasn't the case. But in this scenario, Israel is different than
Pat,
US.
I'm with you.
I know.
And let me say one last thing. What I find a little ironic, this is sort of infusing a little bit thing. What's the number one show in the world, number one platform in the world with the word Turk in it?
Young Turks.
The Young Turks. That's who founded that. Cenk. I find it very interesting, and we've had Cenk on the podcast. I actually like Cenk personally.
That. You know, he's addressed that's
sort
a
of,
mistake
but he's
on his
never
end.
changed the name. We see people changing names.
I asked him about it.
So he's been out there going, it's a genocide. It's a genocide.
Yeah.
Israel, Palestine. Did you not see the 1.5 million Armenians that died, the Assyrians that died, the Greeks that died?
And you made a
So Cenk loses a little moral authority, just like Erdogan in this matter.
And Pat, you mentioned,
no disrespect
and you mentioned
to
it, Pat,
Cenk.
you're half Armenian, half Assyrian. So you've gone through both sides of double genocides from the Armenian side, and you mentioned the Assyrian, the Ottoman Empire, and the Kurdish militias. Pat, there's only, 3 million of us? They killed almost 300,000 Assyrians. 300,000.
The Ottomans did.
Ottomans with the Kurdish militias. And it's like...
The Kurds were a part of it?
The Kurdish militia too, but between 1914 and 1920, bro.
So the Kurds were also doing that, and now Turkey has basically claimed that the Kurds are a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
It's so weird what's going on in the Middle East. Everyone is the enemy, and my enemy is my friend. There's all this going on. It's crazy out there.
Tom, I know you have a lot to say. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I go back to the core story here is what Erdogan was saying about.
You said earlier you had strong opinions on this.
Tom's like, you give me 20 minutes.
Actually, I do. And I think he's making a political statement here and he's stirring the pot because he's like, Israel will not stop in Gaza. Wait a minute. Who attacked who?
Yeah.
The history is Israel starting in 1967, 1973, October of 2023. How many times have the alliance of Islamic countries has been doing pretty good, staying together with one unified thing, which is when the opportunity comes up, we attack Israel. And now him coming out, it's almost like that political thing they say in the United States: accuse your opponent of what you're doing and get out ahead of your own investigation.
Yes.
Right? And that's what this feels like.
And that's exactly what he's doing. By the way, if I'm him, straight up, if I'm Erdogan, I'm doing this exact same thing. It's the whole, don't look over here.
Don't let that be your hero, by the way.
That's
better
not,
heroes
it won't
to
be.
pick from. I'm just saying.
Don't worry about what we're doing in Turkey. Don't worry about the 500,000 dead people in Syria. Don't worry about that. Let's focus on Gaza for a second.
It's such a weird place.
Yeah,
I mean, if you drew all the lines and connected to everything, you have this weird thing. It's like you're talking about the Kurds. Saddam Hussein was very upset with the Kurds. He was trying to
chemical weapons, I believe.
Yeah, he was trying to direct chemicals on them because they were going to help these guys, and things go back and forth. And then you have a Turkish, reporter who gets carved up by people from another Muslim country, and it's like it goes back and forth. And
so, Tom,
Charlotte's
I'm glad
Web.
You had a lot to say, and I'm glad you did that. Tom. By the way, one thing, we want to take the podcast on the road to a lot of different cities. We're right now talking to a couple different organizations that want to take us to the battleground states to go do podcasts there in some crazy cities like Dearborn. We're going to some weird places.
Oh, wow.
Would you like us to come to a city near you to do a podcast? And if yes, maybe comment in the comment section. Let us know on Twitter what that city is. And maybe if more and more people are asking us, we're making the list right now that in the month of October, we may be going on the road, to come to a city near you. I don't know if we're going to go to the battleground of Istanbul, but we're definitely considering different locations.
But we will visit
States.
the Alliance of Battleground States.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's go through this. Mark Cuban criticizes Harris's unrealized gains. Billionaire investor Mark Cuban has publicly criticized Kamala Harris. Rob, do you have a video on this or no?
I have a separate video of Mark Cuban.
But see if you have a video of him criticizing the unrealized gains, proposal to tax unrealized capital gains, warning it could be a kill the stock market and negatively impact private equity and startup companies. While Cuban supports Harris, he insists she will not implement this tax plan, describing it as a starting point for broader economic discussions. Harris has proposed a 28% capital gains tax to address wealth inequality, but Cuban argues that such a move could lead to a long-term economic consequence. During a contentious CNBC interview, Cuban shared his concerns, emphasizing his frequent consultations with Harris's campaign. Despite his reservation, Cuban defends Harris's intent to tax the wealthy fairly, although skepticism remains about her campaign's messaging to donor and the public. FYI. When do you think Cuban sold the Dallas Mavericks shares to get some cash out? Just recently, okay? maybe he's worried that she's going to raise capital gains. So his timing for sale is actually not bad. So, Rob, is this the clip with the two of them going back and forth?
Yes. So he's on the phone, so you're not going to see Mark Cuban, but this is the phone interview with CNBC.
Is this where he says no 50 times?
Go ahead.
Of course, but okay. So what I told him was, if you tax unrealized gains, you're going to kill the stock market, right? And it's going to be the ultimate employment plan for private equity, because companies are not going to go public because you can get whipsawed, right? I mean, they realize that's the issue. I can't repeat it enough. Even though she's not directly conflicting the Biden tax plan, to her value proposition is we need to tax everybody fairly.
But as you've said yourself, you can't speak for the vice president. These are things they're telling you. Who knows what they're telling other people? My guess is they're telling anybody who's donating to them exactly what they want to hear at this point. What matters is what they say publicly and what they will stick to.
15 no's.
Absolutely, positively not. Right. Let me just be very
I don't know.
clear.
Like, why do you think that they're telling you the truth and not telling other people other things?
Well, I don't.
If they won't say it publicly, say it publicly. Tell all of us so that we can hold you to it.
I get it, but you've got to get the details right. You can't just.
Yeah, but we have 60 days till an election.
Wow. Good for her for pushing. Tom, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I want to know, Mark Cuban, are you an entrepreneur and businessman, or are you a proxy at this point? And, you know, that's a real question that I have. You know, because because how many times you see a senator or a congressman goes on a show and they're speaking as a proxy for Harris about economic things, you know, about taxation, about programs and stuff. And Cuban's on there making what sounds like a point by an entrepreneur. And all of a sudden he's speaking almost for the campaign and using things like, well, you know, I'm having it's like a name drop. I'm having conversations with them every day. And so I'm not trying to go, you know, and pick on Mark Cuban here, but I'm just asking him a question. What position were you on that call? Because unrealized gains, first of all, I'd like the first question of the debate would be like, Kamala Harris, can you please define unrealized gains and then outline your tax program? And when she's asked to have her brain form words at the same time it keeps her heart going, she's going to be in trouble. So you've got an issue there where I think that you look at this and you say, wait a minute. You know, unrealized gain taxation, that's certainly not a good thing. But why go on here and have Becky Quick, you know, sitting there saying, no, hang on a second. And you're like arguing on behalf of the president and you're trying to make a point. I just think, Mark, you're trying to do both. And it kind of exposes you a little bit.
I think there's two, I guess, separate arguments going on here. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I crushed it with my analogy with Vinny last week when I told him to take his shirt off and show the gains, but maybe the people didn't recognize that. But there's two conversations.
Sun's out, guns out.
There it is. There's two conversations. There's actual long-term capital gains and what that is being taxed at. And then there's the whole conversation of the unrealized capital gains. So there's two different things going on. So the actual implementation of capital gains or long-term capital gains, which is basically what, over a year? Is that what it is, Tommy?
Correct.
1 year.
1 year is long-term.
Because if it's less than a year, 364 days or less,
ordinary income.
It's taxed at ordinary income, whatever. But capital gains,
which is 40%.
Depending if you're Tom Ellsworth tax bracket 39. There you go. The reality is, I think it's a progressive tax. Progressive taxation that anything under, I believe, 50,000, 90 to 50,000, depending on who you're filing single or married jointly, is actually 0% from long-term capital gains. And then below $500,000, it's 15%. And then I believe even right now, the highest long-term capital gains rate is 20%. So this whole conversation that she wants to raise it from 20 to 28, okay, that's a conversation. But the second conversation, to my friends out there who are like, what the hell's going on here? The current rate for unrealized capital gains is 0. And that's the number that they want to keep it at.
Yeah.
So you can have the conversation of what you want to tax long-term capital gain. Hey, should it be 20? Should it be 15? All right. What's the number? Let's move it. You know, the estate tax goes up and down depending on Republican presidents. That's a whole other conversation. But the unrealized capital gains tax has always been 0. And we would hope that it stays 0 because it's sort of ridiculous to tax something that you haven't even sold yet, right?
Yeah, we'll use a simple example, you know, and I've done this before. You have a guy that has a plumbing business, Fred and Sons. He's got 5 trucks. He's got about $5 million a year at the plumbing business, and that business is worth maybe $7, $8, $9, $10 million. And that has grown over the year. And then somebody comes along and says, hey, Fred, yeah, your business is worth $10 million. Yeah, you know what? That's too much. You shouldn't have that. Well, I I'm just building a business. I make what I make. I pay my employees, and that's not what I make every year. That's just the value of my business. But I've no intention of selling. I'm going to run this thing for another 10 years. That's okay. But since it's worth $10 million, we want to do a calculation, and we want you to send a check to the government. Well, I can't do that. I don't have that kind of money.
I don't have the money. I haven't sold the business yet.
Has grown.
Exactly.
I don't have $10 million. My business is worth that. I've got 5 trucks, 20 employees, and I'm just running a business.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what they mean by unrealized gains.
Say they do a 25% unrealized gains on a $10 million business. You live in the state of California. That means you would have to sell 50% of your company to pay the 25%.
Exactly. Ridiculous. And by the way.
So this is the funniest part about this entire exchange is the lady says, how do you know? No. What makes you think they're telling you the truth and not the rest of us?
Exactly.
How do you know? How do you know? It's like, well, that's not how it works. I mean, he is so, by the way, go to what I just sent to you, Rob, the Twitter. Go to my Twitter account. Just go to my Twitter account, Rob. And if you go to, go down, right there, zoom in right there. So Mark Cuban tweets this: for all Trump supporters, a question: which startups has Donald Trump invested in that didn't involve a family member? Okay.
I love this.
Mine, envy has you held hostage. Either get in the ring and run for office or get to get the same level of more authority he has, or let it go. He is so ridiculously furious and angry with the amount of attention Trump is getting that it's starting to become a little bit too... something deep down inside is bothering him.
But Pat, you had no idea I was even going to go here, right? But I was just wondering, what makes somebody like, because by the way, you guys are over here talking about unrealized gains, and you know what I realized? I still have no idea what you guys are talking about. So, and I'm pretty sure some of the people out there are going to be talking crap like, then he's done, he's a meathead. Okay, say all that, but it just, Pat, you saying that, it makes me wonder, what makes someone like Mark Cuban hate Donald Trump so much? Okay, and by the way,
are you about to tell us about unrealized revenge?
Well, it is. I'm going to make you realize it.
Pop your shirt
off. If you think about it, guys,
then.
for Mark Cuban to stick up for someone's policies that has no track record, no history, she won't speak to the public. You want to ask yourself, like, and mind you, this is coming from a guy, PBD, that used to speak highly of Donald Trump. He liked Donald Trump, but now this Trump derangement syndrome, and I hate to keep saying it, but it's real. Something infects the brain, and I hope that there's like a practice of like a psychiatrist, that they start a new practice to fix people's brains, like Rosie O'Donnell and Mark Cuban. But you know, I thought about it. Did he sleep with Mark? Like, did Trump sleep with one of his girls? Did he outbid him for a private?
Man.
No, or something. But then I realized, PBD, this is apparently Donald Trump was mean to him at a Mar-a-Lago party once. And maybe this, and Pat, you're a good body language reader. Look at how angry he is of what Donald Trump did him to this party. And you tell me if this is an enemy that he chose. That's not wise. Go ahead.
You know Donald Trump, for example? He's sort of our billionaire.
Yeah, well, you can have him.
This was years ago.
Yeah, 2006.
20 years ago.
Yeah. But look, he looks good here.
I'll tell you my quick Donald Trump story.
Met the man?
I've met him.
Yeah.
The first time I met him, our company had just gone public, and biggest IPO in history of the stock market, and I got invited to a Super Bowl party at his Mar-a-Lago estate. Beautiful place. And so we're down by the pool hanging out, and there's this terrace, whatever, all these people are eating. And here comes Donald, and, you know, that's back when I was single. I thought there would be all these hot women, but anyways, there was Donald, and
he was married.
So he comes around and he's introducing himself to people and walks up and said, "Hi, I'm Donald Trump." Doesn't even listen for our names and anything. And he goes, "You know what? Someday you'll be able to sit up there with the rich people." And walks off.
Oh my!
I'm like.
And look, and that's stuck with him and has been stinging and bothering him all this time. But look, Donald Trump kind of bullied you, and look what happened ever since. You became richer, you become more popular, but those are little moments. This is one of those little seeds that just infected his brain, and that, I think, personally, this has stuck with him, Pat, forever, that he was like...
I actually don't have any problem with this.
Me neither.
And hear me out. Here's what I mean by it.
You just said you did.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying he got him upset.
Well, by the way, I actually think it did, but I have no problem with this. This is the part of Mark Cuban I like. And let me explain. If you've ever read his book on competition, it's ridiculous. If you want to find out what he's really all about, read his ebook. By the way, he didn't even write a physical book. It's an ebook. It's 80 pages made. Can you go to his book? What does he say? The title is, is this the one? Go to his name to see if there's any other books. I want to see if that's the one or another one.
Yeah, is this the one by Diversion Publishing?
Let me just, it could be that one, right? It's purely about him competing, dominating all this other stuff. I read the book. I'm like, I had everybody in my company read it. It says how to win in sports, in life, and whatever. It's not a big book. It's a very small book, right? The audio, if you buy the Audible, you know how long the Audible of this book is? 2 hours and 8 minutes.
I can do that on my way home.
You got to read it because you'll learn about how much of a psycho competitor he is.
Yeah.
So I have zero problem with that. However, here's the thing. You ever met somebody who naturally is very good with women?
Yes.
Like I'm talking about, but since they were 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. Like, listen.
Like Dylan.
I'm telling you.
Dylan's already there.
Some people are naturally, they just got it, right? Yeah. You ever met people that naturally, they're freaking impose fear in others, and they've been like that since day one?
100%.
Have you ever met people that naturally are professional shit talkers, and they've been since they were kids?
Yes.
You ever met people that are natural comedians, and they've been like that since kids?
Me.
Bingo. What's the point? Trump has something that he was born with. Mark, you don't have. This is not a shot. It's not. You can't envy something you will never naturally have. There are things he has that he's not going to have. This isn't the, but unfortunately, Mark can't talk shit like Trump.
Nope.
Mark can't troll like Trump. Mark can't get on stage and speak and rally to people like Trump. Mark doesn't know how to. Mark doesn't have that part.
He doesn't have it.
He doesn't have that. In the NBA as an owner, he was it. He was the guy. But he's just not Donald Trump. And that is very, very frustrating to a guy like him. As much as he annoys the hell out of me with the policies and defending DEI and ESG and all this other stuff, I would love to see him run. You know why I'd love to see him run? Because I'd love to see what happens. He has the brass to be able to win. He is smart enough. He has the wealth. He has the following. He has the left would freaking die for a guy like this to run. Some of the shit from his past is going to come up. But in a situation like this, he just comes across as envious of Trump. And it's the ugliest quality is when you're defending 100% that Kamala and them are not going to come up with a policy just because you said so. You believe them. Do you know how, what's the word? How
naive
and weak you look. You look weak that you're kissing someone's ass. Not all you had to say is, well, obviously I don't know that, but the feeling I'm getting is the fact. You just said no. They're not going to do that. You sound bot. You sound like they own you when you talk like that. Not attractive. It's just not attractive at all. They ask Elon Musk, hey, will you do anything with the Trump's administration? He says, I am really busy. I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I'll think about it. What kind of an answer is that?
Just leaving it up for question.
But you would think if it was 100% ass kissing of Trump, he would have said, what? 100% whatever he needs. I think this man, even Musk doesn't play that card. So I don't know. I just don't like his, some of the ways he's been positioning himself. I love that interview with him and David Letterman. Yeah. Some of the stuff he's been doing the last few years. Come on, man.
Real quick, do you know who, other than Donald Trump, Mark Cuban is feuding with at this point? I sent it to Rob. Take a guess. Out of all people that he's feuding with.
I mean, I looked on the timeline just on that tweet. It was a lot of people.
How about his co-host on Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary? Because Kevin O'Leary has come out and basically been like, I don't like this infringement on my taxes and on unrealized gains. Yeah. He came out and defended Trump. Remember when they went after him for being sued in New York, everything like that? Yeah. Kevin O'Leary has made very explicit comments sort of defending Trump, or at least Trump's positions. So now you have two of the biggest names on Shark Tank kind of jockeying for position and feuding. So we'll see how that works out. Cuban.
I think Kevin O'Leary has got something that Cuban doesn't have.
I think so too.
Kevin O'Leary, Cuban cannot rap and no. Listen, Mark's a better businessman. Mark's a better salesperson. Mark's a lot of things he's better. Mm-hmm. But Kevin's got a little bit of that Trump Jr.-esque. Kevin's got that. At one point, I think he wanted to run for Prime Minister of Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, let's go to the next one here. Are you guys, you want to eat some pets or you want to go to Miami? Which direction you want to go to?
Let's eat some pets.
All right, let's go to this one. So Haitian Miami migrants eating pets. Here's the even more serious story about migrants in Springfield, Ohio. By the way, this is not a fake story. We're going to show you a clip. It's a little disgusting. So again, you're being warned. It's not that bad, but it is disgusting. Claims that Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio are eating pets were denied by the police, a spokesperson stating there have been no credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals. However, there's some videos here you got to watch. These rumors starting after a resident claimed at a city commission meeting that migrants were grabbing up ducks by the neck and cutting their heads up. By the way, I don't know this story, man, but this is just funny that they're writing it. Senator J.D. Vance amplified these unverified claims on X. People have had their pets abandoned and eaten by people who shouldn't be in this country, and defended his stance by citing a high volume of calls and emails from Springfield residents concerned about the migrant influx, which he linked to Kamala Harris's policies. Which clip you want to show, Rob? Tell me. Because this is either going to be a spoof and we're going to laugh our asses off, or this is a story. Do you have the one with the cops arresting the girl? I don't even know if that's the...
This is it? And mind you, people...
How recent is this, by the way?
How recent is that, Rob? I mean, this has to be recent-ish.
Can you go to the comment section of this video? Typically, people in the comment section and community notes will say, that's not recent. That's a video from a long time ago.
And Pat, while he's doing it, let's just to give you guys some context, that under the Biden administration, immigration parole program...
Go to that and just look at the comment section. Zoom in on the comment section, Rob, and see... So much. It's amazing that hasn't happened until 2020.
Burger King was closed.
Burger King was. Is this real gross? Mass deportation, disgusting. WTF? OMG. Keep going down. Invite them as a white. What's this? While woman arrested for allegedly killing cats, eating in front of their neighbors.
And go down a little bit. August.
Seriously?
August 20th.
So why is New York Post saying this is not real? So what newspaper is this? What article?
So I think the confusion is whether or not the woman that's charged with this is actually a migrant or not. I think that's the main issue. So
they're
also
trying to tie the two things together. Mm-hmm. So she just may be somebody that likes cats.
Or hungry. She was hungry. She missed dude, people are fasting.
Play the clip, Rob.
Haitian, hungry. It's easy to mix them up.
Listen to the cop.
What did you do? Why'd you kill the cat? Smile for me. Smile, what did you do? Go like this. Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it? Did you guys see all this?
No, we pulled up and she was just laying there with it.
Did you see her eating it?
Eating it.
She was eating it?
Yeah, she was.
You call the Humane Society to see if they'll come pick this cat up. It's deceased.
I know you're emotional here, Adam. So I'm going to come to you last, but go ahead.
Yes, two cats. Haitian. I mean, I don't know how somebody could see that, jump to the Haitian thing, and it'd be fake. But under the Biden administration, the immigration parole program has a large number of Haitians that resettled in Springfield, Ohio since 2020. They're estimating 12,000 to 20,000 Haitian immigrants have arrived in the area, which has created a significant strain on the town's resources, particularly in terms of housing, public services, and infrastructure. I know Rob has a couple of videos. Elon even did it. There's a guy and a girl there in front of the city council, and they're just complaining of what this influx. And mind you, how are they getting from the board? They're flying them. Is that correct, Rob? They're flying them. They're not trekking through the United States, correct?
I'm not sure. I know. Here's the video that Vinny's referencing. This is the female resident of Springfield, Ohio, where she talks about her town being overrun by migrants.
I've seen this one. Yeah. Do you have another one aside from this, or is that?
I do. This one. This gentleman right here.
Let's hear that one first.
I think it's kind of odd that a guy like me has to come out from doing what I do on a daily basis to have fun, because I see what's going on in these streets, and I see you guys just sitting up there in them comfy chairs and suits, and I'm getting out here every day and I'm broadcasting this, and you guys are just sitting up there in suits or something. I really challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into, they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how, y'all can be comfortable with this. I don't know, who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants, because it's the people that's bringing them down here. Because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them.
Be quiet.
That's what he's being real.
Y'all get the Highway State Patrol down here every week, and then y'all get a task force for the Highway State Patrol, and they look for guns and they look for dope, and this and that and the fourth. That same people that y'all got riding up and down Limestone doing U-turns, pulling people over for blinkers and pulling people over for like going left to center and like a couple miles over, like y'all can take them same people, the Highway State Patrol, and you can take them in every single one of their silver Chargers and Dodge Durangos, and y'all can take them to Sunset, and y'all can park them right over there, and y'all can teach people how to drive since the Highway State Patrol knows so much how to drive.
Pause it right there, Rob. So here's what I just did. I just went to Snopes to see what Snopes says. I typed in ducks. I put ducks. I'll tell you what words I put. Ducks, Ohio, Haitian. If you can just do that. No, take Snopes out, Rob. Just type exactly what I typed. Ducks. I can't believe I'm typing this. Ohio, Haitian. Yeah. So go to Snopes, and they don't say no. They just say unfounded, which means they're not even saying no. They're just saying we don't know.
Well, because Pat,
I've had duck liver before.
1,000%.
Right?
I get
foie gras.
Yeah,
duck.
But I'm telling you right now.
Maybe they're looking at foie gras. Maybe it's like a rich.
But look at that.
I don't know if that picture is true or not. By the way, that could be Photoshop.
Yeah. That could be, but at the same
guy
token,
ain't ducking around.
But PBD, I've seen videos on X of actual residents from Springfield reporting that they're killing and eating ducks from the local parks, and there are other animals such as cats and geese. But you know what the crazy thing is? You should see the internet blowing up. Yesterday, I woke up. I'm like, what the hell are all these memes AI generated of cats and Trump, and that Trump is going to save these cats? And what I learned, you know, I realized. look at this one. Look.
Is that real? Is that real?
No, it's not real. I mean, dude, it's scary in 10 years what it's going to be like. But look at he's like, I love you, quack, quack. But I realized something like, go look. Look at the migrants chasing. Look at the Haitians behind him. It's like a zombie movie. But here's the point. The internet.
So messed up, man.
No, Adam, you need that in your house. Back up.
That's my favorite one.
That's the one he needs. Trump saving 2 cats.
Trump has my vote now, 100%.
Oh, there we go.
Saving kittens and ducks.
But guys, and but you guys realize something? Tom, if this lady was eating a human being, nobody would have cared. It would have been like a shock. And then the fact that the internet, no, Adam, because a couple years ago in LA, there was a guy eating a cadaver on the freeway. Didn't make headline news.
No, it did. That's why we know about it.
No, you know about it, but
I remember we talked about it.
There was a homeless guy on an LA freeway that was eating a piece of somebody. There was a car.
I don't want to go there.
No, don't go there.
Another homeless person.
But there was a car accident. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, he ate the leg.
Right. So beyond the levity here, and this is pretty ridiculous, and there's levity, and there's just absurd humor.
I genuinely don't know what levity means.
It's the
Vinny, do you know what it means?
Yes.
What does it mean?
He's putting light to
That's
the
levity. That's
no, levity is
humor.
Tom,
he knows what
actually, Adam, no offense. I believe you.
You know what it is. Go.
Go on.
So it's like,
what is levity?
The first thing is you've got displaced immigrants who you can't call them illegal immigrants, by the way. These Haitians, the Haitians were actually not only protected, but they were validated to be here legally by the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. So you can't call them illegal immigrants. You can call them the undocumented immigrants that have been validated by the Biden administration that were dropped off in Springfield, Ohio, without housing, jobs, or a transition plan. So the consequence here is our government, and they're bringing in votes or bringing in whatever, you make the decision there, are dropping them off. And then these consequences are happening where these people don't have a place to live. They don't have work skills that are applicable to the businesses in the area. And worse, they're living it. They said that, by the way, churches have been opening up like open spaces they have. Warehouses have been tapped on the shoulder and asked to set up cots. So there's some things going on beyond the story here about the pets, showing that these are displaced people. I'm not saying feel bad for them, but I'm saying this is our government with an immigration policy that's failed. And they're dropping all these people off in a small town, Ohio. This is what happens. This is the consequence. How is this assimilating anybody here to do some work? You know, if India took a bunch of American cowboys from Nebraska and dropped them off someplace in India, you'd have headlines over there.
What are they doing here?
People have had their cows abducted and eaten by people who shouldn't be in this country.
Ooh.
You see? So it's like...
Are you wearing a cowboy hat?
It's actually a good analogy. But
No, but seriously, if you're going to do it without a plan, so I think the bigger story here, beyond the absurdity and the just horror that people are facing, is this is a failed immigration policy perpetrated by our government, complete with, no, you're not going to deport these ones because hand me that pen. Okay. Yeah. Okay, there it is. Done. Those 100,000 that were sent in here, they're cool. We validated that.
And Tom, you make a great point because they're not illegal. I mean, they were just dumped here. Okay, I understand.
They were undocumented immigrants who are now validated by the Biden administration. Okay, you hang out.
Yeah, and they're granted TPS, which is temporary protected status, because they're facing horrible things where they're come from. And I get it, my heart goes out to them. But let's take a step back and, Tom, go deeper. What is the outcome for an administration with Alejandro Mayorkas and the Biden administration to take 20,000 people that are stuffed? By the way, just dumping them in the city, no housing, no nothing, and just in a town that has 60,000. What are you trying to do?
I wonder.
Man, it makes you scratch your head and be like, wait a minute, why is this? Is it because Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas care about people, about actual people? They don't. So I go a step back, but then I thought about this. This whole story is blowing up, and you're seeing all this stuff about cats, because I realized something. This country adores cat. Adam sent me something the other day, Adam, a sanctuary. It was Ohana Sanctuary Pet thing by the convention center. It was a, what's it called? A sanctuary, not a sanctuary.
It was a pet resort.
It's a pet resort. Meanwhile, there's 2 homeless guys sleeping outside. And I realized this country loves cats.
Do you guys mind if I transition?
No, go for it.
Can I just give one quick feedback?
Honestly, I'm done with cats at this point.
I do want to defend the Haitians, though, for 1 second, if I can.
They're going after Mr.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Here we go.
He jumped to 30.
I'm born and raised in Miami. I have tons of friends who are Haitians. I never have to worry about whether they're coming over to eat my cats. I think this is a ridiculous story that this one ridiculous human did something to these cats. And as a defender of cats and democracy, I will defend this. This is a one-off situation.
I bet you won't take them to Ohio.
The biggest problem is not immigrants. It is illegal immigrants flooding the system. So sapase nabule to all my Haitian friends out there.
Would you leave your cats outside in Springfield?
All right, let's go through it. Guys, next story is what I'm going through. It's probably the most important story we got throughout the day. So, State Senator forced Chief of Staff to perform sex acrobatics that left him with back and hip injuries. Files a lawsuit. Very serious. Rob, is this it?
This is a newscast covering the story, if you'd like to hear.
I saw it's a little awkward with this one. But
is it?
Chad Condit, former chief of staff. Actually, you know what? If you want to kind of give visual, a little bit more context, go ahead and play the clip.
Is he doing the somersault?
No, go ahead.
And that breaking news focuses on a lawmaker at the state capitol. As we look live in downtown Sacramento, this person is the defendant in a sexual harassment lawsuit. That lawsuit was filed just yesterday, and we learned about this lawsuit just about an hour ago. In fact, we just finished reading through it. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Lisa Gonzalez.
Cousin.
Yeah, I'm Golston Dart. Thanks for being with us. The details in the lawsuit are simply too explicit to explain really in any manner of detail on air, but here's what we can tell you.
So she likes gymnasts.
The suit was filed against this person, Marie Alvarado Gil. Now, she's the lawmaker, you might remember, who last month changed her party affiliation from Democrat to Republican. The lawsuit, by the way, was filed by Chad Condit. He had been Alvarado Gil's chief of staff. He is now claiming sexual harassment quid pro quo. Now, specifically, he claims that he was pressured by Alvarado Gil to perform sex acts on her while she was his boss. Other claims include sexual harassment for creating a hostile work environment, discrimination, retaliation, failure to prevent harassment and discrimination and or retaliation, and then just violation of state labor laws. So we need to be clear here. These are the claims filed in.
Okay, by the way, I like the title here way more. Listen to this, folks. State Senator forced Chief of Staff to perform sex acrobatics that left him with back and hip injuries.
That's hot. Like, that's hot.
There's a part of like, go a little lower. Maybe they're going to say like he did somersault. Go a little lower. I want to see if there's like, what else are they going to say? Former gymnast. No, he wasn't a former gymnast. Go lower, lower.
She's not bad looking, by the way.
She's not. Okay, so go. Okay, so there it is. The Conda alleges he suffered a debilitating back injury. Dude, what were you guys doing while having to
wait a minute. Here's the answer.
Contort as he performed. Oh, got it.
He had
in a car, leaving him with 3 herniated discs and a collapsed hip.
So, Pat, do you think once...
I'm sorry I'm laughing. This is just...
Do you think once he was done, like when she was done with him, and she was like, how did I do? And he was like this. 9.5, but my spine is ruptured. Dude, that's hot.
Go lower.
You seem to be into this position.
I've never had these.
Like, I could see you applying for her next chief of staff.
By the way, look at the Ukraine pen. Okay, go a little lower. Go a little lower. Erratic. She portrayed the suit as erratic, controlling boss who allegedly dominating abuse of authority and power. Condon, who is a somewhat former congressman, Democrat. So it's fun. By the way, what's crazy is we didn't know about the story when she was a Democrat, but as a Republican,
the story's coming out.
You cannot do acrobatic hip injury type of stuff as a Republican.
And apparently it was done in a Mazda Miata because he had to do some yoga contortion.
Was it really a Miata?
I don't know, but I'm assuming because he's describing
nothing you can do in a Miata.
Because wait a minute, if she's got a Suburban or she's being driven around Sacramento, you can figure that out. She's saying in a car he had to contort himself. So one is assuming that there was limited space. I mean, that's just it. And, the gymnast, and apparently he pegged the landing. So
I'm not being that guy, but you rarely hear the female sexually harassing the male. I'm not going to HR. I'm going to go to the hospital.
Forcing him to perform oral sex.
Adam, did you have anything to say about
I thought we were
for the first time ever, I'm going to decline to go to the juvenile behavior segment of this. Yeah. I do believe we have a clip of her given the moral authority of why she left the Democratic Party. Though.
Yes. But did she really?
This is August 3rd, or I'm sorry, 3 weeks ago, August 6th, where she announces that she is leaving the Democratic Party and becoming a Republican, and she appears on
August 6th of what year?
This year.
Yeah,
3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Play this clip, Rob. This is a little
gone
bit.
from a Democrat in California to a Republican. I mean, what's the reasoning for the move from one side of the aisle to the other?
Well, that's the big question of the day. And the answer is really simple. I've been a lifelong Democrat, and the Democratic Party of today in California, I do not recognize it. And so I can't, in good conscience, with the values that I have and my commitment to represent the voters of California, continue to call myself a Democrat.
Those are the values that we're bringing to the Republican Party.
She just got hotter for me.
Apparently was trying to find one straight male.
By the way, is she married? That's the question I got.
I'm emailing her after.
The person involved, the guy that's claiming Gary Condit's son, the chief of staff, is married. And I don't know if you guys remember Gary Condit, his story.
Oh, wait a minute.
He was the California congressman who his aide disappeared, Chandra Levy, and it was the biggest story, August of 2001. Everybody thought that he had something to do with her disappearance. 9/11 happens. Nobody ever talks about Gary Condit again. It turns out he was
But it was found out she was acquitted, though.
Gary Condit's son is the guy who's accusing this woman of forcing the sex on him.
He was acquitted, wasn't he?
You just got it to get weird.
Rob got it weird. I'm emailing her after this.
Wow. But by the way, she is single.
She's single.
Vinny has alluded to the
She
fact
has 6 kids.
And she's acrobatic. I mean, you got to give her credit.
She wants you to be acrobatic.
He's acrobatic.
Vinny,
we have not verified.
She watches the Olympics,
Vinny,
and I'm
you've
down.
mentioned the fact that you've looking to fill this open position in your spare time.
I'm just saying, like, you never see it happen the other way.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But by the way, here's the part. Look,
she's a leader.
The part about like some stories are just funny. This is a funny. I mean, of course, she's probably not finding this funny. It's very funny to have a story like this. But the main thing with this, here's the part that we have to think about. This is what sucks. If this story is 100% fabricated, every time you look at her, you're going to think gymnastics.
100, no matter what. Like the landing and then the stick. Yeah, 100%.
No, I actually want you, say in 2028, you go to a Republican debate and you're standing there.
With her.
What are you gonna do? You see her. This is the moment because you're gonna run into her. She's gonna like, hi, who are you? Oh, I'm Senator Maria Alvarado Gil. Oh, got it. Be quiet. It's such an honor.
Wait. Thanks, Mary Lou Retton. I will say one major thing we've glassed
storytelling.
If this
can
were
destroy someone's career.
Yes.
Big time.
If this were the other way around, it would not be a joke.
No, of course not.
If this were a male congressman harassing a female, this would be serious. They'd be Me Too. They'd be never seen again, or they'd be dealing with the charges ever.
Let me go to the next
Only
story.
in America.
Yep, damn right.
You want to work in politics?
Double standards.
Then you want to work in politics? She needs a chief of staff.
Yep.
I'm going to go into
Give her a
this.
call. Do you have any openings that might fit?
I'm going to go to this next story until Tom. This next story is very important, and I know the folks of California are going to appreciate this. This is why you got the people that by the way, I just did a podcast with 3 unbelievably funny Armenian guys called Wise Nuts to the Armenian community. You got to go watch this podcast. I just watched the whole thing early this morning. Funny as hell. I laughed my ass off. I called these guys out nonstop. About right there, Rob. You're on the right one. Go to videos, and you should see right there. You have to go watch, especially if you're Armenian. Go watch this. It's absolutely hilarious. What I said to them about the Armenian community, the fact that California Newsom owns Armenians, they will never leave Glendale. You don't need to show this, Rob, right now. I'm just showing the fact that happened. They're with them. But here's why California owns so many people, and they're afraid of leaving because of laws like this. Okay, if you're wondering why California lost
Adam, you taking the garbage?
If you're wondering why California lost $1 trillion of money under management, and they have a negative net migration, they've lost people since 1851, first time ever under Newsom. It's because they come up with ideas like this. California bill requires all new cars to beep when you speed. Okay. I actually pulled this up, Rob, for you. What website are we on right here? Is this VTNews.AI?
This is reason.com, redirected from VTNews.AI.
Perfect. So here we go. Nice. Senate Bill 961, passed by the California legislature, requires new passenger vehicles from 2030 onwards to issue a brief one-time audio and visual alerts when driving over 10 miles above the speed limit. Everybody's going to be speeding because everyone's going to be speeding. Annoying. The bill awaits Governor Newsom's signature and would make violations a crime. Initially, the bill proposed automatically throttling vehicle speeds using GPS, but after public pushback, including from a close friend, Senator Scott Wiener, great name, the bill was amended to remove this provision. While Wiener argues the law addresses dangerous speeding, post-pandemic critics note that popular navigation apps already provide optional speed alerts and suggest that incentivizing safe driving via disconnected insurance programs could be a better alternative, but these programs are currently unavailable in California due to Prop 103. Tom.
Look, people, this is a crock. You have brownouts going on in California. Pasadena, with all the EVs plugged in at night, was having serious brownouts during the heat wave that's there. And so you've got Sacramento not talking about, what do we do about energy infrastructure? What do we do about the condition of the Central California highways? What do we do about water agreements to get water to the farmers in Central State? What do we do about the condition of our schools in California? No. How do we make your car beep if you're going 10 miles over the speed limit? Yeah. That's absurd. That's absurd. And what it shows is that under failed leadership in Sacramento, this is what they're working on. They're actually finding things to do like this rather than working on the list of things that I just gave you. Yeah. And if you want to, this is a poster for your tax dollars at work, badly at work.
Let me get this straight. Your own car will beep almost like when you don't have your seatbelt on.
Correct.
It'll start beeping.
Under this law.
Okay. Gotcha.
Let's raise the cost for every single automaker has to put a little software in and add this feature.
And you're going to pay for it.
You're going to pay for it.
I wasn't exactly clear on if you had to honk at other people you thought were speeding. No. Almost like if you see something, say something thing.
Yeah. As a non-car owner, Adam, I understand the question.
And Tom, you made it great.
Your own car is going to start beeping because you're going over
if you're 10 miles over the speed limit. Yeah. And they're actually, but the point is they're taking time to make this law rather than deal with all the other things that are in California.
Tom, you make such a great point with all the crap that's happening in California, all the problems that this governor has, and they're worrying about this. It's like being in a burning building, and you're in the building, and you're like, you know what? Let me fix the corner of this table.
This cold water won't work.
Yeah. Who gives a damn? Like, this
building's
guy,
on fire, dude.
Yeah, the house is coming down. It's unbelievable, but it's not a surprise.
I'm going to ask Pat a question. Pat, as someone that would never speed, I mean, I've driven with you on California highways. Speed limit the entire time.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to break records. Nothing like that.
He's an advocate for just don't make them go that fast.
They're not laws. They're more of guidelines.
Tell us why this is such an important implementation, Pat, in your purview.
I think as a responsible driver, it's first of all, it's inappropriate. if this became effective and I was driving, nobody would ever honk around me. Yeah. Nobody, because you're responsible as a driver. It's your job to make sure you don't speed. Make sure you. My dad always taught me if the speed limit's 7, you go 69.
Yeah.
If it says 35, you go 34. Like if it's 25, you go 24. Yeah. It's something you got to do. And who likes fast cars? I mean, honestly, what is the point of fast cars? Right? There's no point to it. This is why. I think a Ford Focus is a response. Ford Contour, Toyota Corolla. You got to do the right things. Any car that's 0 to 60 is faster than 10 seconds is too fast. You don't need that kind of. You don't need to be in a hurry.
I remember driving with Pat on the what's the
405
freeway.
Yeah. 64 miles an hour.
2020, he was going 64. I'm like, oh, this seems pretty fast. And then
some would say add 100 to it.
Yeah, I was say Pat is going 164.
Armenians don't drive.
Hang on, guys. Guys, I was with Pat when we got pulled over by the police, and the cop there. We're going through Encino Sherman Oaks on the Ventura Freeway there, and we get pulled over, and the cop says, "You're speeding," and Pat said, "The sign said 101." And he says, "Man, I'm glad I stopped you before you got to the 405."
I would have needed a better car, dog.
There you go, Tommy.
But we would have 170 would have been a better freeway, right? 134, 101, 134, 170. Yeah.
This is even, but the 170 is a skinnier freeway with more turns.
Oh man,
this is exciting. I love California.
So, which one do we want to go? Do you want to go to Tyreek Hill? Do you want to hit that, or you want to go something else?
What about it's like Nicole Gray, the school shooter?
Steph Curry?
Oh, Steph Curry, too.
Let's go to Steph Curry. Steph Curry says women right to choose is top issue for him, supporting Kamala Harris. Rob, there's a video. You want to go on and play this video. Go ahead.
Endorsing Kamala is important for me, for my family.
Why? What are the issues you care about most?
Say what?
What are the issues you care about?
I just know from especially women's rights and thinking about, what's at stake with this election and understanding we need to be in a position where women have the right to choose what's right for them. And that's at the top of the list for me. I have amazing women in my life who've been a huge inspiration to me.
It just goes to show you could be the best at one thing, use the best shooter in the history of the world, but this is a horrible take by Steph Curry.
And I love these. And listen, let's just put this. I really like Steph Curry. I think he's one of the best basketball players of all time. I think he's automatic. That aside, I think if you saw his face, he was kind of caught off guard with the question on why he's voting with Kamala. Mm-hmm. And as a self-proclaimed Christian, to support Kamala, who doesn't have any children, mind you, and who's pro-abortion is weird to me. And his mother, I found this video and I sent it to Rob, and he could play this back if it's okay. His mother, Sonia Curry, in an interview, admitted she had an abortion before Steph Curry, brother, we don't know, right? Before he was born, and then even contemplated aborting Steph when he was in her womb. In her memoir, Fierce Love, she shared this experience and the challenges she faced and then how her faith, Christian, played a role in shaping her decisions moving forward. So her faith basically saved Steph Curry's life. Can you play this, Rob?
The decision that I made to keep him at that point is also countered with the decision that I made to not carry through with a previous pregnancy. And so God just bringing it all together and just showing me being able to just say, hey, here's this decision I made in this point, and look at the blessing that he has become. And I just thank God.
Well, think about it. Because of her faith in God, Steph Curry is alive. And if she had that faith earlier, he would have a brother or a sister, whatever it would be. And I get it. This is such a touchy topic, especially when it comes to women's rights and all that stuff. And I love the argument of people going, well, what about, when women are getting, raped and they're getting pregnant or listen, there's always exceptions to every single rule. Like thou shalt not kill. Like all the Christians out there, thou shalt not kill. But if somebody comes in your house and tries to kill you, what are you going to do? you're going to kill them. You have to protect your family. Like, and if it's just a decision of like, because I think she kind of explained that it was just, it wasn't the right time, hardships in life, and you just abort the thing. I just don't like, if you're a Christian, if you're a self-proclaimed Christian, and Tom, and you could please attest to this, is just having abortions just because it's not the right time and you just can't handle it. If the child is healthy and you just decide to abort it, is that a Christian attitude?
Yeah, the bigger thing for me here with Steph is, people, you get to watch their career, their unbelievable achievements and stuff, and then you see them politically, and they tend to be kind of shifting with which way the wind's blowing. And I kind of feel like that with Steph. This doesn't look like Steph from a couple of years ago, how he represented himself politically. And I hate to see that because it makes me wonder, is the NBA putting some pressure on? Is ownership of the Warriors putting some pressure on? Is there some pressure from sponsors of the NBA? And then you don't know. I really don't know where Steph really stands when you see over a very short time span, this is 2.5 years, some different positions. And you wonder, is this really Steph, or is he kind of having to kind of take this line, and this is why he's being careful with his words, and it's important. And does he say it's important to me and my family because of his career? I don't know, but it just seems odd to me, and I hate to see people that shift and to say, where's the real you?
I'll give you the quick answer. He's playing ball. And I'm not talking about on the court. I'm
Literally
talking about off the court. I'm talking. He's playing ball. He's playing ball. Esoterically speaking, he lives in California. He lives in San Francisco. What is potentially the wokest city in the world in America? Silicon Valley, woke, left, San Francisco. He's playing ball. He's doing what he has to do to play that card. By the way, where's Kamala Harris from? What state? California. They have a relationship. You're talking about somebody. Steve Kerr, his head coach, just spoke where?
DNC.
At the DNC.
Oh, he's a hardcore
So they're
lefty.
aligned. They're not even playing games.
Bingo.
I mean, like, where's
what I just wrote down here. Here's what I wrote
Where's
down.
the NBA on all this? Obviously
down,
left.
By the way, do you think Steph Curry's a good guy?
Yes.
I think he's a good guy.
Yep.
Yeah. I think his loyalty is California. I think his loyalty is to his coach, who is a hardcore lineage of Popovich, which Popovich is a hardcore,
yes,
the hardest core liberal in the NBA. You got his parents. He's a mama's boy, okay? His wife. And then he's also thinking about post-NBA career. He wants to go into Hollywood, maybe follow Dwayne Wade's career. And Hollywood, I experienced this a little bit weird stuff last couple months on how nervous and anyways, that's that world and that space is. But, if there's one time, the more and more I think about politics, here's what I think about, okay? Kids, are they more loyal to their mothers or their fathers the last 60 years?
Mothers.
Okay. If you were to look at what percentage of women, how they vote, how women vote, how men vote, how men and women vote. Can you just pull up the data on that, Rob?
For presidential elections?
Presidential election. No, I just want to know exactly how they vote, left or right, women or men, okay? Here we go. I got this here, how they vote, okay?
Women are left.
Yeah, exactly.
Men
But
are
what
right.
I'm trying to find out is, Rob, what the percentage is of women left and men right. That's the number I want. So 55% of women. No. I want to know exactly breakdown.
I got you.
How women vote versus how men vote. Okay.
Because it depends, Pat, and I'll find you this
what
data.
percentage of women vote Democrat? Okay, and that's all you have to look at, right?
Well, it depends, Pat, if they're married, if they have kids.
I want to know.
Single.
No, I don't want any of that.
Okay.
I just want all in, everything combined. Here we go. So
60-40.
men, General Democrat 2022. So 44% of women vote Democrat. 51% of women vote Democrat. Okay, do you have that? Is that it, Rob? Okay,
yes, from Pew Research.
Right there. That's exactly what I'm looking at. So look at that right there. So men, 46% vote Democrat, 52% vote Republican, 6%. Okay? Women, 51 Democrat, 44 Republican. Then you can go to married men, 59% Republican. Married women, it's more Republican, Democrat. Yes. Interesting, 45-50, right? Men who live with a partner, what does that mean?
They're just living with somebody.
Unmarried.
Like, they're not married.
Yeah, but they vote Democrat. Women who live with a partner, 64. Divorce separated men, 53. Democrat, 44. Divorce. So more divorced men vote Democrat than women. Interesting.
There it is, Pat.
So
Look at
widow
never
men,
married women.
Never married
men, 61%. Never married women, 72%. Straight men, 55% Republican. Straight women, it's 49% Democrat.
Gays love the Dems.
There we go. 83 men, 83 women. So
the biggest disparity by far.
Here's a part. Tom, I am convinced Lyndon B. Johnson's policy he came up with was the fastest way to flip 10% of the vote, because men, young men, they're being raised by their mothers and they don't like their fathers. And their fathers are typically going to have more conservative, fiscally, no excuses, go make it work. Then mothers are going to obviously have pro-choice as more of a motivator for them. And guess who is Steph Curry's biggest reasoning for supporting this? His mom and his wife. That's it. And so this is, I'm not surprised. He gives me, by the way, I tell you right now, if Steph Curry's parents were both conservative, what do you think he'd be voting?
Republican.
Of course he would be.
No, for sure.
Of course he would be. So Steph Curry is simply voting the way he is because of his parents. Simple. It doesn't make him a bad guy. It doesn't make him a good guy. It's not his loyalty to his party. Steph's being loyal to his mother and his wife. That's what he's being loyal to. And that's how politics half the time works. It's very hard to go against your family and say no unless one of them lets you down. If one of them lets you down, you'll flip. That's what happens. Elizabeth Warren, even Hillary Clinton. If one of them, Ronald Reagan's only biological son, you know where he's at politically?
He's an atheist.
He can't stand any of his dad's politics. But Ronald Reagan's son that they adopted, Michael Reagan, guess what he is? 100% loyalty to Ronald Reagan's family. Yeah. So his biological son votes the opposite way. The son that he adopted, his full loyalty is to what? Right there. That's Ronald Reagan's son. He named his son after himself, Ronald Reagan. And he's fully politically on the opposite side.
Yeah. Wow.
Wasn't there. Reagan was on the road. You weren't there for me when I needed you. You were doing this. You were doing that. You were always in Hollywood. You were always in movies. I never saw you.
Gotcha.
Wish you were
Makes
there.
sense.
So that's the part where this thing is very tricky. And some basic policies may not seem like a lot. Long term, they can have a lot of influence. Anyways, we're at the end of the podcast here. Do we want to do one more or no? Which one you got?
Do you want to do the Tyreek Hill or no?
Tyreek Hill.
Let's do the Tyreek Hill. So Miami police released Tyreek Hill's body cam footage. Here's what we know. Rob, I want to read this, and then if you got a couple of clips to show, do that, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, Miami police, Tyreek Hill was pulled over for speeding and reckless driving near Hard Rock Stadium, according to ESPN, and briefly handcuffed after a verbal altercation with the cops. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, describes the situation as heartbreaking and mind-boggling, and Hill went on to play the game, scoring an 80-yard touchdown. Body camera footage shows Hill being removed from his car and taken to the ground after dispute about his window being pulled down. According to Miami Herald, the Miami-Dade County Police Department launched an internal investigation, and one officer was placed on administrative duties, leave apparently during the probe, as confirmed by Director Stephanie Daniels. The agent criticized the incident, saying this shouldn't have happened to a player entering his own stadium. There's no reason Tyreek should have been treated this way today. Vinny.
Listen,
is this a clip?
Well,
Yes.
This is the body cam footage.
Yeah.
Nice. Is that a McLaren?
Yes.
Why don't you have your seatbelt on?
No seatbelt and driving over 100.
Why what? Why you have it on?
I'm late. Do what you gotta do. And he's rolling up his window.
Hey!
Like, see? Not complying with a cop. You see? Elevating the situation, which you're not supposed to do. Look. Hold on. I'm just letting you know.
Hey! Keep your window down. Keep your window down. I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car. Give me your ass. Get out of the car. Give me your ass. We'll break that freaking window. Get out of the car.
I'm going to break the
Get out
window.
of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out.
Unbelievable.
What part of that don't you understand? Hey, Drew, I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting arrested.
He's on the phone with Drew Rosenhaus, his agent.
I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting out, bro. God,
Look at his arm.
Twin.
Okay, Adam.
When we tell you to do
We'll
something,
talk
you
about
do
it after.
You understand?
I'm getting out,
You
bro.
understand? Not when you want, but when we tell you.
I'm getting
You're a little
out.
fucking confused.
I'm getting out, bro.
Too late.
Chill,
Too
bro.
late.
All right, bro. Take
Too
me to
late.
jail, bro. Do what you gotta do, bro.
We are. We will.
Good, bro.
It is good.
Hey.
Don't worry about it. I hung up the phone. You stop crying.
Bro, y'all.
Don't move.
Good. Bro, you
Set 'em
beating
up.
on my window like you crazy.
You set him up?
Why y'all beating on my window like y'all crazy for? Damn, yo, bro.
It doesn't get any clearer than this footage.
Bro, dude, beating on my window
Yeah.
like he crazy. I ain't do nothing, twin.
Hey, don't park there. Don't park there.
Hey.
How long is this, Rob?
That's his teammate, by the way, in the other Rolls Royce.
Hold on, bro. I just had surgery on my knee. I just had surgery on my knee, bro. I just had surgery
Really?
on
What
my
a
knee, bro.
coincidence. I just heard you in your ears when we told you to put your window down.
Chill, bro. Hey, Joe New, bro.
Back up.
Hey, call Drew. Hey, call Drew.
Not smart walking up on them.
Call Drew. Hey, call Drew, bro. Hey, what? Hey, call Drew, bro. Just call Drew.
It's just,
And then Rob, I sent him one button. So now I sent Rob another short one where he's saying, go to the one, Rob, that I sent you about. He's like, y'all just pulled me over because I'm a black man in a nice car. Because go, and then I'll show you. No, Rob, the other one. It's a short clip of the police situation, right there. This is the short one, Rob. Yeah.
I'm just being a black man. That's it. I'm just being black in America, bro. That's all it is.
We're dark too, brother. We're people of color too. Don't play that kind of
Don't play that.
I'm just being a black man in America, bro, in a nice car. That's it.
Okay. Here, Adam, because I know obviously that one cop was being a little bit aggressive, but what was the problem with this video and what people need to understand this? Comply with the officer's instructions. Why did he have an attitude? Why do you have to roll up your window? None of that would have happened. None of this would have escalated if you just listen to the cops, leave the window down, give him your ID. By the way, they're not pulling him over because he's black. They're pulling him over because he was going over 100 miles an hour, Adam, because he was late. Okay?
Was the car honking at least?
No, it wasn't in California.
Well, yeah, it wasn't in Cali. But Pat, and here's the problem I want people to understand. Yes, that other cop, aggressive. I don't like. That's the one that was put on leave. Totally uncalled for. He escalated even more than a situation shouldn't have been. But none of this happens. You don't see this video. You don't see any police cam, anything like this. If he just obeyed the officer's instructions. If you never want to deal with cops like that, just listen to what they say. Why do you roll up the window, Adam? They're trying to talk to you. You're rolling up the window. You're having an attitude. I'm late. You're this. And then at the end of it, to play the race card isn't helping the situation at all. And then he's interviewed, Rob, I sent you that one too, where he's interviewed, I think he went on, what was it, CNN? Oh, of course he's going to go on CNN. Can we hear this one, Pat?
Yeah, for sure.
You just tweeted a moment ago, you said, let's make a change. What did you mean by that?
Right. So, I'm a good old country boy from South Georgia, man. Like, I'm not a big believer in dividing people. You know, I don't believe in all that, man. I believe in bringing people together, because that's my purpose in life. I do football camps all across the world, man, trying to bring different people together, different kids, different parents, you know, because we in this together, baby. Like, we on this earth together. We got to live together. So when I say let's make a change, let's do it together. So Miami PD, really all officers across the world, man, because one officer doesn't, you know what I'm saying, like, make the whole group look bad. Like, everybody has bad apples. You know what I'm saying? Every team has bad apples. It's my job to use my platform and my resources, so that way I'm able to align, you know, with, you know,
Rob, you can stop it.
You know,
but none of the bringing people together, having that attitude, talking about, because I'm a black man in the car. That's not. You're doing the complete opposite of what you're saying. You're dividing people, because now people are like, oh, you're pulling me over because I'm black.
There's 3 chapters here. So chapter 1 is what happened before the body cams turned on and the car is stopped at the curb.
You don't know
what happened. I'll tell you. In 1996, I was driving like an idiot, late for work. He was late for work in Los Angeles, California, driving a 1973 Chevy Impala, which is all I could afford. I committed 5 moving violations in 1 mile. I was pulled over for reckless driving. Once they pulled me over, I hear a helicopter because they said I was attempting to evade pursuit. So, and I was being an idiot. And I actually had a white shirt and a tie on, like the one of 2 ties I owned. I got out of the car. I did everything they said, because when they pulled me over, they were upset. And so I did everything they were told. But even as I had my hands on the trunk of my car, while they frisked me, being pissed off, they took the back of my head and they gave me a big push, and my nose and my chin bounced on the back of my car, but I stood there frozen because that's their world. Now, that was a wrong thing for them to do. But why was I pulled over?
Exactly.
I was pulled over because I was driving like an idiot. Now I step into their world.
Yep.
So chapter 2, I obeyed what the officer said. Tyreek Hill gets on the phone to his agent. Help me, fix it. Rolling up the window. You can't do that with the cops once you're pulled over. But chapter 3, it was handled poorly by the police, absolutely poorly. But let's just remember, we don't even get to chapter 3 if you arrive to work on time and you're not driving at a high rate of speed.
Yep.
You know, and I'm sorry, but we need to talk about that. You put yourself in a bad position. You encountered a bad cop, but once you were pulled over, you didn't follow instructions.
Yeah. Adam, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I do have
no?
a lot on this because I've been to this stadium a million times. I grew up going to Miami Dolphin Stadium. It used to be called Joe Robbie. Now it's called the Hard Rock Stadium. I've been on that exact same street, Ives Dairy Road, a million different times. And I respect the cops. By the way, this was opening day, NFL season. You know how many cops are out there? I've been to hundreds of tailgates here, thousands of cops. And the vast majority of them are awesome. Okay, this is a case of, in my opinion, a drunk on power authoritarian cop, for whatever reason, is just utilizing all his authority to look like the man in front of a guy who was clearly an NFL player. He didn't know that it was Tyreek Hill, arguably the best wide receiver in the league. The guy that just signed a $4-year, $120 million contract for the Miami Dolphins team that is worth $7 billion. By the way, I'm sure Mayor Francis Suarez may have a thing or two to say on this. So, number one, I think the cop screwed up royally, and he's been placed on administrative leave. Here's a guy. I mean, if this wasn't Tyreek Hill, just imagine for a second if something worse happened and they shot Tyreek Hill. By the way, it wasn't just Tyreek Hill. 2 other players got arrested. Calais Campbell, who went to the U, and there was a 3rd player that got arrested. At what point do these moron cops say, hey, by the way, we're arresting the players we're here to protect in the stadium? At one point.
That doesn't mean, that doesn't matter, Adam. If you're breaking the law and you're being...
breaking the law, speeding.
Okay, Adam,
Vinny, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
If he hit somebody with the car...
Hold on, you just spoke for 5 minutes. Allow me, buddy. You just said how ridiculous it was that the guy was going over 10 miles per hour.
Yeah, he was not going 10 miles per hour.
No, I'm just saying that's how
he was going 100 at 55. Okay, so here's a couple things. There was a story back in the days of this happening to Sly, Sylvester Stallone.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like, do you know who I am? That whole, do you know who I am? Do you realize who you're doing this to? Do you know who I am? Do you realize who I am? Okay. So famous people go through this. Do you know who you're doing this to? Do you know who you're doing this to? Do you know who you're doing this to? Okay, great. Totally get it. That cop didn't know who he was, apparently. I've read a couple stories that they didn't know who he was, and it's kind of like, oh, who's this guy doing this? Automatically jump to conclusion. If a guy's telling you, pull the window down, bro, pull the window down. What are you doing pulling the window up? Pull the window down. 100 on 55, I get that. That's pretty crazy for that to be taking place. Trust me, I have 20 plus speeding tickets in my career. My license has been suspended multiple times. Mm-hmm. I know what it is to be pulled over going places where you shouldn't be doing. And when they come up to you, you just got to follow. You if you want to take the risk of driving that fast because you're running late to practice or the game, you know, that's you not being prepared. By the way, he ended up having 130 yards receiving and a touchdown.
And a ridiculous touchdown.
He did. But moral of the story, yes, that one cop pushed the envelope. If the cops tell you to pull the window down, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing to not pull it down? That's the most basic thing. Last week, we were at, what do you call it, at Vol Conference. We're coming, now I can say where we stayed at. We stayed at Four Seasons. We're driving up from Four Seasons, right? We're now all of a sudden, Trump is at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, man.
There is 100 car in front of us. I'm running late. I got to hit the state at 8:30. Oh, man. And we're driving. I'm like, dude. So our driver goes around, gets out of the car, goes to the cop and says, hey, brother, Pat speaking, you know, over there, can you please? So the one cop stops all the upcoming traffic, allows us to go through it to get through. One other cop doesn't communicate with the other guy, opens it up, says, have their asses wait. We waited for 100 cars to get ahead of us before we could go in.
And you're about to speak on stage in front of 6,000 people.
And I'm about to speak on, but Tom, do you remember this?
But we had done the right thing. We had one of the guys got out of the car, approached the cop and says, hey, we got a situation here. We have an event. This is what we're doing. We did the right thing. But then the cop,
I know you want to rap, Pat.
50 yards in front of him is like,
But I want you to know this. In that moment, you have no idea what I want to say and what I want to do.
I believe
you have no idea. But guess what?
I understand.
I got an event. So keep your mouth shut. Go up there, whoever you think you are, go do your job. If I would have done anything, we would have acted stupid. If we're there for hour and a half, Vault is running an hour and a half late, it changes the entire dynamic. So that's the part where, you know, cops have that power trip. You already know some of them do. Why are you making it worse? If he doesn't play the game, they lose. I hear you. End of the season, you don't make the playoffs because of one loss. You know how big of a deal one loss is in the NFL? Joe Burrow lost the first game to freaking New England Patriots. You don't think it's a big deal? End of the season, that one loss could come and haunt you. You don't make the playoffs. That's the only thing. You're a superstar. You want to add something to wrap it up?
I'm just going to say one thing. If it was just Tyreek Hill, I get it. Then you arrest two other clearly players. All right, now you have a problem with the team and the community. Sure. Speaking of the team, here's the statement from the Dolphins. We are saddened by the overly aggressive and violent conduct directed towards Tyreek Hill, Calais Campbell, and Jonnu Smith by police officers before yesterday's games. This is the you don't think the Dolphins want to have a good relationship with the police that protect them? It is both maddening and heartbreaking to watch the very people we trust to protect our community use such unnecessary force
I
and
don't support
hostility
that
towards
letter.
players.
I don't support that letter.
This is their statement.
I don't support that letter, though. That's not the right letter, but I understand why they would defend their player. I understand you're supposed to defend your player.
Yes.
But you're also supposed to say what you said. What did you say earlier? Maybe even they said, if they said, forgive me, if you already sent the later of it. No. Majority of the cops are good.
Exactly.
They have to still edify cops.
I agree.
The reason why fans go to a stadium is because they have to feel safe. If they said that.
Here it is right here. We are proud to have a strong and positive relationship with the Miami-Dade Police Department, and we recognize that the vast majority of officers do serve their community with the utmost character. And that's what all I'm saying is this one guy was a moron.
I wonder if they also said, in the future, when asked to roll up the window, keep it down. I wonder if that's in the note.
No, I wonder if we stand beside Tyreek and our players to work to use their platform to make a positive impact in the community.
I have boys. Boys are different than girls. Boys will do some reckless things at times, and they'll take. I'll go to school, and hey, your son did this. I'll ask the what do you call it? The principal, and I'll say, can I get a couple minutes, my son? Yes. We'll go to the side. Hey, Teek, Tilly, did you do that? I did. So you know you messed up. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go back in there. All right. Anything else? No. Teek, Dylan, I don't support what you did. We can't do X, Y, Z. You know that. We've already processed it. This part, I get it. That part, I get it. This part, I get it. Now, if I go in, I say, so what'd you do? Know that the other guy hit me first.
I remember you told that story with Tico.
And then I'll defend.
Roll the tape.
That's right. And then I'll defend. But in this situation, the right thing to do, but they can't do it because NFL, we can ask for a trade. They don't have my bag. Manager calls, agent calls. You're trying to get another player. Rosenhaus doesn't bring the other guy to you because the way you treat Tyreek, such a political thing. But I understand the politics side of it.
He could use this as a way to bridge the gap between police, players, black men, whatever. There can be a positive outcome from this, in my opinion.
If it was a white guy in the car that had that attitude, they would have done the same shit. They're not playing games,
do you remember when Scotty Scheffler got arrested at the Masters? I don't like this whole black and white thing.
Well, he's playing that card. It ain't me. He's saying
Do you remember when he got arrested at the Masters?
Yes. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Gang, listen. We get a lot of messages that, hey, how do you guys get your stories? Everything you've been doing. Eventually, I decided to invest a lot of money into it, hired 15 machine learning guys to make a new site available to you guys. We wanted to build it for us, but we're making it public to everybody. It's a freemium. Then there's two different paid aspects to it called VTNews.AI. I'm going to play a commercial for you. This is the first time you're seeing a commercial to understand what this is all about. This is an aggregated site where you need to only visit one news site that feeds everything in from others. No bias. We're not writing the articles. Other people are writing it, and you get to read the article and say, this is a left source, this is a right source, this is center. Rob, play this clip. Go for it.
There are currently 8.2 billion people on Earth. 6.9 billion use their smartphones to read an astonishing 2 million news articles every day. Before you read another news article, it's important to understand how news outlets make money. Change, conflict, controversy. In other words, the angrier you get, the more money they make. So how do you get your peace of mind back when every outlet has their own motive?
The media leaving out the full context of what Trump was saying, instead pumping out these types of headlines.
Left-leaning, right-leaning. Who can you trust? Introducing VTNews.AI, an innovative news source that uses AI and machine learning to deliver a more human understanding of what's going on. There's more than one side to every story. Who's covering it? What are their agendas? Why is one side reporting a story when the other side is ignoring it? VT News shows them all. Access to 130,000 news sources, most advanced AI in news, ability to chat with VT.AI, bias meter showing the number of left, right and center sources. Lopsided stories are clearly identified. News timelines covering the lifespan of the story and predictions. Bring the pursuit of truth to your fingertips. Visit VTNews.AI, your only destination for news.
We are so excited about this that finally this product is here that we can release to you. We shared this at the Vol conference. The reception was absolutely insane. For those of you guys that run podcasts or you're busy like me, you're somebody that's an executive businessman, you're running around, you got a lot of things going on. You don't have time for a lot of things. You just kind of want to see the motives and the bias on the stories. Go become a member. There's 3 tiers. The freemium, you got the 2nd tier and a 3rd tier that gives you unlimited amount of questions and customization for your own news, including local. Mess around with it. Go to VTnews.AI. We got a lot of big plans with this year because it's another one of those businesses that feeds into what we're doing. Again, go to VTnews.AI, become a member, take advantage of the freemium or anything else that it offers for you. And we're excited about other things that's coming in the future with this. Gang, for the people that are joining us tonight, at 8:30, we're going live to watch the debate. Some of you guys are coming with us in Florida. That's the QR code. All the VIPs have sold out, but there's a few generals left. We said we're only going to sell 50. For those of you guys that are in Florida, you want to join us, that's the QR code. We will see you guys tonight at 5990 Live to watch the debate. We'll also be live on YouTube. God bless everybody. Take care. Bye-bye, bye-bye.